anymore. It's the Infinity Watchtower.
Infinity Watchtower.
I haven't been on this show for 3 weeks. We got a lot of news to cover this
3
week.
weeks?
It's been about 3 weeks. So the first week I was in Paris. Second week I was in San Diego. There wasn't a show, and I was in here last week.
3 weeks.
Wow, Joe, welcome back. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you, brother.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
We have a lot to discuss today.
Oh,
Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day or out of your night to join us. We're going to be talking about the latest DC and Marvel movie news and comic news. Comics just dropped yesterday. For all of you fans of Shattered Grid, we're going to hold off on that until Saturday during the Ranger wrap-up. Because we're prepping up for Power Morphicon 2018.
Power Morphicon, Power Morphicon, Power Morphicon.
That's right. But before we even get into Power Morphicon, look at that.
Oh, beer.
I wanted that. I know, right? I do owe beer.
We want Heineken.
Really? That's the beer choice? So we do have a lot to do with talking about all this news coming out.
All this Marvel news.
But
news.
we did not talk about San Diego Comic-Con, which is the biggest comic book pop culture convention, really. Let's talk about Comic-Con. How was your guys'? I didn't see you at all, Johnny, in Comic-Con.
We were both busy.
How did you? What's going on? What did you like? What did you not like? Tell me about your Comic-Con.
It was good. As you guys know, like I was writing comics, everything like that. So I was in small press.
Wait, did you guys talk about this last week? Because I don't want to retrend this if you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Did we?
But we didn't get your Comic-Con story.
I didn't have it. There's some fun stories. By the way, if you super chat, I hope this is a thing. If
do you have it even downloaded?
No.
And it's like a 2-minute video.
Just do a part of it. If you super chat, I promise you this week that you'll get to see the video that got me going through Comic-Con every single day to make me laugh.
You got it on like Saturday.
If I was in a bad mood though, I'd watch this video and it would just make me laugh.
Is this another video of you doing something?
Yeah, but it's not so like R-rated.
Nah, it's pretty funny actually, but it's great.
It is.
Beer.
It's a very old video.
All right, about
very old video.
I like Corona.
Yeah, I saw Johnny. I saw Johnny twice at. Yeah.
And I saw Jezzer.
He had a pretty big line at his booth. About his
comic.
So crazy.
I want to talk about one thing real quick. Talk to me about your favorite moment of Comic-Con. One moment that sticks out in your head.
Oh shit. What was the favorite moment? Oh, when I got that Ninja Turtle set.
Really?
That was my favorite moment. Yeah.
That was on Wednesday. I remember you coming back to the press room being like super excited.
Yeah,
about
dude. Like I thought that I had missed my opportunity already to get it, so that's why.
Favorite moment, Comic-Con?
Eisner's.
Really?
Eisner's?
Yeah, I was at the Eisner Awards and I had a couple friends nominated, and one of them actually won.
Who?
Tanika Scott. They put out the Elements anthology. And it won. It was like a big deal. She would have made this powerful.
What category?
Best anthology.
Oh, best anthology. Gotcha.
Nice,
yeah, she was editor and put it all together. She made this awesome speech because the cool thing about the anthology is it's all made by like diverse people of color, men, women, transgender, everything like that.
That's very cool.
Yeah, she went and made this like awesome speech about like how comics need diversity, about how comics are changing to accept people and everything like that. And it was like really powerful. So that was my favorite moment. It was awesome to see her get that recognition.
That is a good moment.
You're gonna get to the Eisner soon, right?
One day, working towards it.
My favorite moment of Comic-Con was definitely 1000% when me, Jezzer, and I don't know who the third, Brax, I think it was Brax, we were all walking.
Super chat!
Oh, that video. Is that video ready?
We got super chat from
let me see if it's done downloading. Let me see if it's done like the whole...
Alright, we'll promise when the video's done, we're going to play part of it.
Yeah.
I promise you. But we were all walking, and we were outside of the, I want to say the Hyatt. Or no, it was the Marriott. We were outside the Marriott, we were walking, and there was a girl that was getting into an Uber, and she just...
Oh, yeah, that was funny!
She felt right before she got in, right? And then there was a guy in the background, and he goes, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, so she gets in.
It wasn't Brax, it was Keith.
It was Keith, yeah. So she gets in, she's fine. And then the guy goes, can I get your number? And then Jezzer goes, what did you say to him? You were like, hey, it ain't gonna happen, bro.
And then he got all mad.
He
got in like Keith's face, and Keith was mad. Like he's like,
what are you gonna do? He was like, what are you gonna do? It was pretty funny. And then
wait, you said it, but he got in front of Keith's face?
Well,
yeah.
Keith,
he was like,
Keith was taller. So.
So Jezzer was just like, ain't gonna happen, bro. And then he's like, oh man, I could just. I'll kick your ass. He said something like that. And then we were like, what are you going to do? And he's like, man, I just really wanted her number.
No,
like,
Krishna's here.
Krishna, how you doing? Krishna from Rangers Live Chat. All right, so that video, you ever ready to go?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, cool.
This is the best video you're probably ever going to see all
We're
night.
just going to play a little, and then, yeah, okay.
So if you keep super chatting, we'll keep playing more of the video.
What is this? Oh my god. What was that? What was that?
Let's see what the comments
Hey,
say.
What was that?
If you guys keep super chatting, more of those videos are going to be playing tonight.
Jezzer, what were you singing?
I have no idea. It was just this song that I found like on like LimeWire or something, and then I just kind of kept listening to it over and over. And then had a laptop, had the song. Something happened.
You guys keep super chatting tonight, and you'll see more of that video. That video kept me going through Comic-Con 2018. All right, so let's get into some of the topics today. Let's start talking about some of the stories.
Talk about the oldest one is the James Gunn store.
Yeah. Let's start there. I mean, James Gunn, you guys touched on it last week. What were you guys' opinion?
Yeah,
on that?
but we didn't get the letter last week, so they had an open letter that came out. It looked like a letter written by everybody, or written by one person. Everybody signed it to kind of express that that's how they feel about the whole.
We say everybody, like the entire cast.
Yeah, majority of the cast.
It was like solidarity, right?
Yeah, solidarity for James Gunn.
What did the letter say?
Want me to read it? It says, "To our fans and friends, we fully support James Gunn. We were all shocked by his abrupt firing last week, and we intentionally waited these 10 days to respond in order to think, pray, listen, and discuss. In that time, we've been encouraged by outpouring of support from fans and members of the media who wish to see James reinstated as director of Volume 3, as well as discouraged by those who easily duped into believing."
You got it in the super chat.
Oh, we did.
You can continue this letter, and then we'll go into the...
Duped into believing many...
Goku.
Yeah. So pretty much it's just their support. They don't support what he said so many years ago, but they want to continue on their journey with James Gunn.
And then do they give any demands? Like there's
no demands. It's just showing that we support him and
we like for him to come back.
That he's that doesn't, his tweets from 10 years doesn't reflect who he is now, and that he's a good person, and they feel like the way social media is, like we've always said here, there's no innocent until proven guilty. It's just so they just want to support him. And Chris Pratt even went on Twitter and saying that he wants him to be reinstated and direct Volume 3. And I understand that, because they want to finish up this journey that they started with him, and
And I mean, let's be real. Like, if it wasn't for that cast, him, and the original screenwriter, like this movie would have been taken off the way it has. It's like all of those that mixture together create this huge success and everything like that.
Yeah.
What's kind of interesting is like, because we've talked about this on the show before about how like somebody will do something wrong, and this mob mentality kind of comes through, and people are like calling for their job and saying this person's not right, and then the companies have followed through and like fired these people or like taken away the things that they were working on and everything like that. But what's interesting is we're getting the reverse situation here now, where people are like, yo, we know what they did and we deemed them innocent. It's like, we know what you did, and you know what, it's not that bad. You know what, it happened a long time ago. You're not the same person. You should get this opportunity again. And so now there's this outpour of support, and people want him to get his job back. Even the fans want to get his job back. So it's really interesting. It's interesting how they'll respond to this.
I think with how like the media has been playing off, like they're leaning towards to probably rehiring, but I think Disney's just gonna move forward with somebody else.
But you know what's cool, interesting too, though, like to be totally like transparent here. Like, I only found out about this letter when you guys brought it up to me and everything like that. And again, it wasn't really covered in the media. Like, it wasn't one of my Twitter alerts or anything like that. So it's interesting. It's like when somebody does something wrong, it's like boom, it's like right there, like, oh, look at this person, shame on them, blah blah.
Yeah.
But when somebody's maybe been wrong themselves or maybe needs a little bit of justice or anything like that, the media doesn't cover as much.
I don't think this movie is gonna be as easy as it is to do without him. And I think that they're not going to do this movie because there was 3 movies that were scheduled post Avengers 4. One of those was Black Widow. One of them was Spider-Man: Far From Home, which is starting now, production, and the other one was Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be in that lineup anymore. I think that there's a reason why Scott Derrickson released a tweet earlier this week saying, I'll see you guys in September or November, whenever it was. Scott Derrickson, as you guys know, is the director of Doctor Strange, and I think that Doctor Strange 2 may take this spot. So it looks like that could be a possibility.
They're going to use this time to get a new director and change up the story a little bit?
Possibly. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying Taika Waititi is probably the front runner, but then there's Adam McKay, who's known for comedy as well. Wrote the Ant-Man movies. He's also done some really heavy movies as well. So who knows at this point? We can only speculate. Kevin, I hope it's not, because I don't think Kevin Smith is deeming that.
Kevin Smith should stick to just directing TV.
Yes.
TV
so who knows where this is going to go? But we're going to keep you updated right here on that hashtag show. But before we get into our next story, let's see some more from the leader of the Cookie Face Army.
Oh, here we go again.
That's gonna fund this episode. I feel like more for that video. All you got to do is hit the super chat feature, which you do already know. The super chat feature helps support the show, but as you can tell already, this is paying for itself. It really giving you back gold as the leader of the Cookie Face Army before the leader of the Cookie Face Army.
Thank you, Jezzer. Quick question for you guys though: do you guys think they're going to reinstate him?
No.
No.
I think that once Disney's going to make a stance, they're going to make a stance.
Yeah, they're too prideful to because that's going to just say, "Oh, Disney was wrong," but with what they did, so they're not going to do that. Disney's never wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I was looking it's weird. Like I was looking, like I said last week, like I looked at all the tweets he sent out and everything like that, and all the stuff he said about kids was like, it was weird and a dark humor he was trying to make funny that didn't really work and everything like that. And like out of all the tweets, the only one I kind of like chuckled at was the one where he talked about the remake of Jerkaloose or whatever. It was like about like.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was.
I think context is kind of needed to understand some of these tweets because they didn't really make any sense to me.
Yeah, they were just like they're just kind of weird. It's like they were from a dark place, but at the same time though, it sucks. Like, man. So yeah, I'm not sure if he's gonna be restated either.
That's awesome.
I hope he would be, but yeah, I don't think so either.
That's yeah. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen with this franchise? But what we do know is, oh, we got another super chat.
We do.
Whoa, Matthew Thompson. Thank you, Matthew.
We got another.
This video is great. I'm telling you, man. This video is what got me going throughout the whole week. I almost want to find different videos of different people to give you guys, like bloopers that we have on hashtag show. Those should be the super chat videos.
I think it's gonna be harder to get other people to show you those videos.
The bloopers are easy, but there's only technically 5 people that really can be targeted.
Yeah.
And that's like me, Jessica, Maverick, Kelly, and like Ro now.
Yeah. So we're going. For
yeah,
the
let's
super
go.
chat.
Let's go for a couple seconds of this. I love it. Everybody loves this video. You love young Jezzer.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Jezzer.
He looks like a young Mowgli. With the hair, kind of looks like a Mowgli.
I had a mullet. Mullet.
Did you really have a mullet?
Yeah, let me show you. Hold on. Dang.
Oh, this is amazing.
Why'd you have,
Super chat us to see the picture of the mullet. Mullet Jezzer.
I'll put
Business in the front, party in the back. All right, so one thing I do want to talk about. This week we had 2 films come out.
It was last week.
Last week, I'm sorry. It was Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible
And Teen Titans Go.
Oh man, yeah.
Teen Titans.
I think it was pretty obvious that Mission Impossible was going to win.
Oh, hands down, dude, that whole movie pass thing that happened.
But
yeah.
What movie? Oh, when it went down.
Yeah, it went
No,
down.
it's not even on movie. You can't even watch it with movie pass.
The way movie pass is going to work now, there's certain movies that are going to be blacked out from it.
No way, seriously?
I can't watch it on movie pass.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's
This
because
movie pass
no
is like,
Thursday movie pass ran out of money.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, they ran out straight up.
So
ran
if
out of
you
money.
do plan on investing on anything, either invest in movie pass, where you're probably going to lose your money, or that hashtag show where you probably get money back. But invest regardless. However, going into this, I really liked Mission Impossible. However, I really liked Teen Titans
that
Go
was
as well.
fun.
Oh, Teen Titans Go was amazing.
You saw it? It's a fun
amazing.
movie. It's in the same vein as Teen Titans Go, the TV show. This is Teen Titans Go to the movie. I wish it did better in the box office. I don't think it did as well as I wanted it to do. But this is definitely one of those movies where you don't have to be a little kid to get it or to enjoy it. There's so many jokes in this movie for the adult fans. Like, what was one of your favorite things? Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
So there's this cool point where they have to like go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order to go back in time, they have to like build up the rad amount of energy. So they started doing this whole like sequence where like we gotta be rad. And after that they play the Back to the Future theme music as they like travel through time. And I thought the whole segment, everything like that, even the travel through time was like amazing. It was funny, it was brilliant. It was weird, like it kind of went off kilter for the plot of the movie, but still fit in, and it worked perfectly. It was hilarious. What about you?
I think my favorite scene in that movie, this is a big spoiler though. So,
How did it?
we said Stanley cameo.
Oh yeah.
Stanley cameo was hilarious to me. What about you, Jezzer?
My favorite one was the Slade scene. Slade.
Oh, I should have said the song. The song was great.
Oh yeah, with Michael Bolton.
No, not that one. The one, the rap. The
rap they do?
Yeah,
No,
it's great.
I've downloaded that rap. It is so good. Go Teen Titans, go Teen Titans. It's so good.
Go Teen Titans, go.
There's
Teen
so many
Titans.
great scenes, and I love at the end too. He's like, "Ask your parents how babies are made." Like,
Oh man, that was
yes,
messed up.
yes,
dude.
great things.
That was messed up.
that
then we
was
got another
great.
super chat.
We did?
Yeah,
Damn it.
Toku Kid 99 said, "Thank you, Toku."
they love this.
I gotta go through like another part of it so they can see different parts. Let's see. Oh wait, hold on.
Rewind it. Okay,
Hold on, okay,
now.
hold
All right,
on,
buddy,
there
here we
you
go.
Bay bột chọc, chi đi đi plok, chi đi đi cốc, quăng cho đồ đồ cốc, mọc phong xoay là, chi đi không khơi lá, bột chi kia, bỏ chi chẳng, chi đi không công năng, bột chi kia, chi đi quăng xoay cho đồ ăn lối, chi nắng bỏ chi chẳng chi đi công, chi đinh cho đồ yak hàng.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
This is great. I love this.
Gosh.
This might be the
good.
best super chat series we've ever done. I feel like this is great.
I'm sure I could find more. See, what's easy about me is I'm not easily embarrassed, or there are some stuff that I don't have recorded, so that's
I want to give a shout out to TC and Epic Comic Cast. Guys, go check them out. TC and Epic Comic Cast. Him and his sister Karina are killing it. They're actually in this industry, one of my closest friends in this industry, and you've met TC and Karina. No, you haven't met them. They're great. Go check out their podcast. They actually really got my interest in podcasts in general. They're really good.
What do they talk about?
All geek stuff.
Also, just all.
And
stuff like
they
that?
are a great balance for each other, I will say.
Yeah.
We've been friends with them for quite a while. I mean, this goes back to the early days of the hashtag show. So TC and Karina, shout out to them. Go check out Epic Comic Cast. Hit that download button on anything that you can listen to podcasts with. But I know they've been changing things up a little bit, but check them out anyway.
For sure.
All right, so back to Teen Titans Go. I was lucky enough to get a chance to talk to the cast of Teen Titans.
Oh, cool.
And I got to voice Cyborg, which I heard that you guys
we played.
saw
Yeah,
last
They
week.
played that. People liked it.
Did they really?
Yeah.
yeah. They said you really sounded like Cyborg.
They were
so-
like, "Go, Joe! Look at him breaking into voice acting."
Yeah, now Daryl has something to be afraid of. It's a credit now, right? It's a credit. It's going on my reel.
You can put it on IMDb.
it's on
I think.
IMDb.
It's like, oh look, I didn't see Joe there.
So let's hit the interview with
right.
the cast of Teen Titans Go.
It's about 2 minutes.
knocks it out of the park.
Joe, no.
I know, Joe, no.
Screen rants on a good rant already.
There
man.
we go. But let's give credit to where credit's due. The writing in this film is amazing, and
Agreed. The writing, Michael Jelenic, woo woo.
The
Aaron
music,
Horvath,
the music,
woo.
Brother Peter, man,
Oh.
everybody,
but with
Aaron.
the writing, it's not afraid to poke fun at itself, at its other properties in the franchises, and other studios. Were you surprised when you got the script and started reading through it? You're like, whoa, this is...
I was not surprised at all because our show, Teen Titans Go, is the same way, and it's the same writers that write our show. And they're the first to poke fun at us and to poke fun at themselves. They're the first to see like criticisms and say, okay, let's make an episode about that criticism. So it's right on par with everything the show is, and our writers are mad scientist geniuses.
Absolutely.
That's
They're
right.
appealing to people of every age at the same time, whether you're 6 or you're 60. It's
Right.
funny for everybody.
That's right, bro.
I love the Teen Titans Go rap. Now, who wrote that? Was that by Lil Yachty? I know he was in the film with Green Lantern, but who
Wasn't
wrote that? That was amazing.
Wasn't
That's a
that
great
Pete?
question.
I thought that was
might be Pete. One of our
Really?
producers,
Yeah.
Pete, yeah.
He does the music for the series.
Now
and
he's going to do the music for Lil Yachty, too. Watch, we're going to see
Oh,
that.
I love that.
Do you guys remember any part of your rap at all?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Teen Titans, the
Titans, the Teen Titans. Teen Titans, the Titans, the Teen Titans.
Very good.
And it goes on from
Yeah,
there.
but that wasn't very. Yeah, that wasn't the rap. I mean, that's that hook.
T-E-E-N-T-I-T-A-N-S.
That was a
Teen
good song.
Titans, go Teen Titans. Great show.
Yeah.
I really like the movie a lot. Go check it out.
It's on Screen Rant.
What?
The rest of the interviews.
The rest of the interviews on ScreenRant.com. Go check it out.
And the song is amazing.
Song
animal,
is amazing.
Animal, yes, any animal.
Yeah, that whole scene with that was great.
So when you get me on a show, we like to talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff that happened. Jezzer and I went to go watch the movie on the Warner Brothers lot. Not only did we see a sleeping security guard, but we also...
Wait, there was really a sleeping security guard?
Like,
It was almost...
I didn't even notice it. He was like, oh, it's like a movie.
It's like a movie where you could steal the key and like run around.
Because we were done and like there's nothing really to do after that, and we were like, oh, let's see if we can walk around. And there's a sleeping security guard like watching the other part of the lot.
Was it like the thing class that you see movie where he was like a big guy too, like sitting at your
No,
like
he wasn't.
He was
that
a
big.
small guy.
He was small, but he was legit asleep. Like
He
sleeping
was
like
out.
that though. He was sleeping
like that?
yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
But
You guys should have told because he's got in hijinks.
we almost... No bullshit. We were like 2 seconds away from really doing it. And he knew, like, if it's the two of us at an event like that,
God.
it's
nothing but bad
all bets are
decisions.
off.
It's
But
nothing but bad decisions.
We went to go sit in in like in a row for the film
at the very
the very back, and little Yachty's like entourage like.
Did you know that Lil Yachty was the voice of Green Lantern in
Yep.
this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He did a good job actually.
and he did remix the rap and everything like that.
did he
Oh,
really?
yeah, he wrote that. I think he wrote that song.
Yeah, because people don't actually realize Yachty's low key really nerdy. Like we all know he collects sneakers and stuff like that, but he also collects action figures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's super nerdy.
So Yachty also. So I was talking to Warner Brothers, and they were like, "Hey, can we play some Little Yachty music at this like event?" And they were like, "No, we cannot. We cannot play Little Yachty."
There's a DJ over there. Like it was what did they use that set for? It looks like they use that for some.
Yeah, that was for something, some backlot. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's like a backlot, and there's this DJ, and one of the other guys say, "Hey, can we play Little Yachty's here? Can we play his music?" And they're like, "No."
Nope.
So they just because there's a bunch of it's all kids. Joe went off somewhere. He went to like do the interviews
Yeah,
and
in
stuff.
the
Now I was
sound
stuck.
booth.
I was stuck on this backlot at
But
this party
it
thing.
was like all you could eat tacos, like Dippin' Dots ice cream.
tacos, pizza, so many like ice cream waffles or something that they
Yeah.
made in front of you. But it was just a bunch of kids. So I was like, oh man, this is bad.
There was a slide. I was figuring that you went down the giant.
No, I did
slide
not go
thing.
down the slide. No.
He did go down the slide.
No, I
Don't believe
didn't.
him.
He did.
No, I
Don't
did
believe
not.
him.
All right, so let's well, what's our next big story that we have this week?
Next big story. Let's see. Hold on.
He doesn't know 'cause he has to look at Slack.
So we get these.
Oh, that's where it's at. I couldn't find his Slack. I was like, where the fuck did he say? Or sorry, I can't say that. I can't say language like this anymore. I've been
last
told.
Wait, we can't say language like that anymore?
We've got to try to keep it.
We got to try to
G-rated.
keep it cleaner.
Cleaner, yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
All right, so as you guys know, the reason I wasn't here 3 weeks ago is because I was in Paris for Mission Impossible.
Lucky.
We're not gonna. Well, it was fun. We're not gonna talk. But hey,
Joe got crepes.
whoa! I didn't actually.
you
I
got
did not.
crepes?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I forgot. Joe don't like bread.
Oh,
I
no.
would- I do like
crepes
crepes,
isn't
though.
bread. Crepes isn't.
Crepes is different. To me.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's not
like,
really bread. No.
It's not bread. It doesn't have the same consistency as bread.
It's a fancy pancake.
It's thinner.
It's thinner and
Yeah.
it's more moist.
Moist,
pancake.
moist. I like that word, moist.
So
Moist.
here's the thing with, and I know everybody thinks, oh, you had a great time. I did have a fun time, but I did miss my flight back to Los Angeles.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember we were
I had to
here.
pay. I had to pay like $700 for that.
No way. Are you serious? No way.
I had to pay 700 euros for that. So I think that's
So
750.
that's like almost
That's like
900.
$2,000.
And I had to buy an extra night at a hotel because I missed my flight. Because my flight was at 1 o'clock. The next flight leaving was full. I actually got canceled. The flight after that was full. So like, oh, your next flight isn't going to be full until tomorrow. It's 6:50. I was like, in the morning? No, at night. Oh, great. It's Bastille Day the next day, and the finals of the World Cup.
Oh, Joe.
So I was fucked.
So this came out of
Joe.
your pocket.
It came out of my pocket.
Oh my
Joe, I'm so
gosh.
I
sorry.
had like $1,000 stay.
Did you stay at the La Holiday Inn?
No, I stayed at actually
La
no.
Holiday Inn.
I stayed at I stayed at like the Marriott, but it was 2 miles. It was like a mile away from the airport, so that way I knew I wasn't gonna be late for my flight.
The last time I was in Paris, though, I was a kid, and my dad booked us a place, like a hotel, and it was in the red light district. All of it is in the red light district.
Wait.
It's next
So
to
you were the Moulin Rouge.
It was next to the Moulin Rouge, and I saw Moulin Rouge, and it's totally different than the real Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. So that's a funny story. So I went out to the Moulin Rouge. I think my last night there, or I went out to that area. I think it was my last night. And I've been there before with the girl I was going out with at the time, and we went to the Moulin Rouge. It was fun. Everything was great. Had a coffee at night. Blah blah. But I went out there with my friend, another friend that was on the trip with us. Went out, and everything was cool. But then I see this like hooker, like down the street. Sorry, kid. But then it happened, and I was like, "Yo, what is going on?" And then there was like, it was like being back in Tijuana, where when I was younger, I used to go to Tijuana, because I live in Southern California and I was in college out here. Did you never go to Tijuana in college? Did you go to
I've never
college
been
out
to
here?
Tijuana before.
Oh,
Back with the East.
so me and Daniel, who you know from this show, when we were in college, we used to go to Tijuana because Thursday nights were college nights, and I didn't have so I didn't have class. I had a really light schedule my freshman year because you get to choose your own schedule. So we went out to class, went to Tijuana, and they would always try to get you into their strip clubs or bars or whatever. They would like say dumb things, right? So this is exactly how the strip clubs were in Paris. And then the guy that I was with, the idiot that I was with, by the way, Mike, you're probably not watching, but you just got engaged, and you're the reason why we ended up in that strip club. And
Dang it, Mike.
Mike was like, so we were talking, and Mike goes, man, this guy, because the fucking guy from Paris came in, and he was like trying to talk to us, and he was like, he sold Mike on the idea. He's like, hey, this guy worked really hard. Let's just go.
Daniel says, "Woo, poo, thirsty Thursdays."
We get in there, and it's fine or whatever. It's very uncomfortable. It's a strip club. It's a strip club in Paris, and I felt, and I offended a girl in there.
In the strip clubs in Paris, do they serve crepes?
No, no. That you can get whatever drink you want, but I did. There was a girl that was sitting next to me, asked me if I wanted a lap dance. I said no, and she got really like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." Like she thought like I felt like I offended her. She's like, "I'm sorry, I won't talk to you again." And I was like, "No. I didn't know. It's just I'm not here for the." And it was a big thing, so we ended.
Were you by yourself?
No, I was with this Mike guy.
In Paris.
Yeah.
Your last Paris trip.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
Mike's the reason why
He was
they won.
another journalist. I don't want to out him on his publication.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
But we
New
were out
York
there.
Times. Keep going, Joe.
But no, we were out there and it was a lot of fun. But we ended up going to a bar or whatever. But I ended up missing my flight. That's the story. But in the process of this, if you guys have seen some of the stuff that's going on with Marvel and DC, they have been dropping like Christopher McQuarrie. There's rumors that he was going to be the director of Green Lantern and possibly people are lobbying for him to be the director of the new Superman movie. Henry Cavill talks about possibly reprising his role as Superman. We even have Simon Pegg talking about Captain Britain and Angela Bassett talking about the Thanos snap, whether her character disappeared or not. So let's hit it. And he talks about like a Man of Steel too, because Christopher I'd spoken to him earlier, and he says it's a good story. He'd be interested in doing it, and he loved working with you. Have you heard anything?
Well, what I can tell you is that There'll probably be another Superman movie somewhere in between 2019 to 2045.
To 2045. There was a lot of rumors with Tom possibly playing the Green Lantern. Now that you've worked with Tom, would you like to see him in the DCEU?
I would love to work with Tom again, and so any opportunity I get would be enormous fun.
You've done Mission Impossible, Star Wars, Star Trek. Is there any chance you'd want to jump into the superhero world at all? Because I know there was rumors about Ant-Man back in the day.
Oh, well, that's because Edgar was directing. And I think somebody asked me recently in an interview that had nothing to do with superheroes, what superhero I'd like to play. And I just sort of said Captain Britain because I used to get the Hulk Weekly when I was a kid, and Captain Britain debuted in that, and he's a British superhero. I used to read the Knights of Pendragon. And I figured that was a good answer. Suddenly all these rumors popped up. Oh, Simon Pegg wants to play Captain Britain. I don't really, but, you know, I mean, I try to take every job as it comes. You know, I don't have any ambition, really, to be in anything else other than what I'm in now. If something comes up and it looks good, of course, it'll be fun. I love watching the Marvel films. They're always so well executed. They've done a fantastic job with that sort of extended universe of movies. But I'm happy to be an audience member.
Do you think your character disappeared with the Thanos snap?
No.
No? Okay, that's interesting.
Neither did my daughter. So,
okay.
You know, and Sharice, yeah.
That's it.
Quite a bright girl there in Wakanda, so.
Two of my favorite characters. Two of my favorite characters. Well, there you go. We talked to a lot of those folks for about their different comic book movies.
Angela Bassett is on this new show on network. It's called 911. It's pretty good.
She's like
that. The lead. She's like the lead cop or lead. Yeah, she's like the lead cop. It's actually a good show.
She does not age.
No. Some of her best performances, low key. Well, we also see how she doesn't age is on American Horror Story.
Yeah, yeah, she was on American Horror Story. That's right.
Yeah,
what season was she in?
She came in around. She was on season 3 for sure. The Witches. I can't remember which season was season 2, but I think it was season 3. She came in for the Witches and Freak Show. And she was there every season after that, and she just does a phenomenal job. Awesome. Like you can check her out. Like I always tell people, you want to get to American Horror Story, best season to watch would start with probably like season 5, The Hotel, the one with Lady Gaga, Angela Bassett in that too. But there's a lot of great acting. It's a really good show.
So we know what these guys are kind of anticipating for. We're talking about the future of Marvel and DC, but one of the trailers that dropped just the other day was Venom.
It was Tuesday.
Symbiotes.
Symbiotes. Before we get into Venom,
good in the morning.
Before we get into Venom, I gotta ask you guys: did you see the trailer?
For the new trailer or the old trailer?
The new trailer.
I have not seen the new trailer.
Right.
I was tainted by the old trailer. I was like, why would I watch it?
Well, you didn't like the old trailer?
Symbiotes.
Have
in the morning.
They changed it now. It's symbiote now.
I heard they just took out her part.
Yeah. They didn't have her part in the trailer. But like watching the trailer though, what's his name? Tom Hardy's accent is so thick that I need subtitles in the trailer because it just sounds.
I was able to understand him just fine.
Every single thing that he said.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, maybe I was like looking, but I thought
maybe you were doing your cookie face thing.
No, I was. I watched it sober. It was early in the morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. But I did enjoy it.
Are you looking forward to the movie?
No. And so here's the reason why. Like I've told you guys before, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man's probably the reason why I'm into comics. A majority reason. And Venom is an awesome villain. And so the thing about it is that is he also a great anti-hero? Hells yeah. His comic run went for about 100+ issues when he had his own series and everything like that. And so the thing about it is Venom makes for a great story. It's just the way they're telling the story, it's just not appealing to me.
You wanted to be connected to Spider-Man?
That would help, but it's also just like the power set he's like exemplifying here. It makes him like almost too powerful. The story seems a little bit hokey and everything like that. So I'm just not that into it. Like when I heard they were to make a solo Venom movie, I thought they were going to go the Flash Thompson route because they rebooted Venom like 4 or 5 years ago. They had Flash Thompson where he was like a soldier and everything like that. And using the Venom suit.
It was a good story.
Yeah, so I thought I was like, oh, they're going to do something like that where a soldier finds the suit, goes off and does stuff, and maybe gets away from him, ends up in New York, blah blah blah. But here it seems like they're trying to go with the original Venom route, which I'm like. It kind of takes away from it. Eddie Brock's a great villain for Spider-Man because he was also a photographer, reporter, and all this kind of stuff and everything like that. So I just kind of feel like they're dropping the ball, leaving some stuff on the floor. That's just me personally. Though.
I think what they're doing now is they're just having a lot of standalone like Spider-Verse movies with Sony. Like we were talking about Jared Leto is going to be doing Morbius, and I saw something that they're trying to get a Craven movie going or something.
Yeah, that was on our website today.
Yeah.
Check out that #show.com for the latest article. However, let's just talk about Venom for a quick second. I do want to ask you, Johnny, about Venom, mainly because is Eddie Brock your definitive Venom that you'd want to see, or like you were saying, Flash Thompson would make a good Venom, but
if we were making like a standalone movie, like kind of like how Sony's trying to do right now, yeah, Flash Thompson it'd be a good route to go. So you can explore that like storyline. Because you even change the name from Flash Thompson to somebody else. But if you were going to really incorporate into like the Spider-Man verse and everything like that, definitely you would start it off with like Eddie Brock, and then you can like, maybe explore other Venoms later on, because there are other Venoms like Anti-Venom and things like that.
Well, Riot
is in this one.
Yeah.
In the trailer.
Well, talk to me about this. The movie Life came out from Sony. About 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
2016.
A lot of people said that was the prequel to Venom. And if you actually watch the movie, it does feel like the prequel to Venom.
I think if they confirmed that it was, I think that would give a little bit more depth to this story and kind of make it more enjoyable.
But would that be kind of weird? Look at the actors that were in it. Rebecca Ferguson.
Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal, who's playing Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Rebecca Ferguson in the?
She's not in the MCU at all. But let's just say
you want her on the table.
No, I'm just saying that would take off the table Rebecca Ferguson, Ryan Reynolds, and Jake Gyllenhaal's already playing Mysterio.
Yes.
But Life does seem like a prequel to the movie. It absolutely does. Now, does it? To me, the biggest thing a problem I have with this Venom movie is that the suit looks great, but the iconic part of the suit is that kind of like spider look.
And people are wondering about it because they didn't show it in the first trailer, the chest part. But there's nothing on it. It's just kind of
blank.
Yeah.
Blank canvas.
Oh no, that's a PNG.
Yeah, and so again, it kind of loses that feel because that's part of the reason why like that costume is so iconic. Yeah. The black costume with the spider going across is like so badass.
So guys, let's do a new fun game. Hey, go ahead, Johnny.
Well, actually, I was gonna propose a game.
Oh, you were going to propose a game too?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Sony, as we know what they're trying to do, they're trying to get their own cinematic universe going, and they're trying to grasp at straws of Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
So let's just say hypothetically, because like I disagree with the moves they're making, doing the Venom movie, the Morbius movie, and now the Craven Potential movie. I think they're using the wrong characters. So thinking about Spider-Man as rogues and people he's gone against, and like people he's teamed up with who've been introduced in those books. If you had to say, you know what, you should use blank Spider-Man character from the run, which character do you think would actually make a good solo movie?
Ooh.
Solo Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, so not Spider-Man,
like
which is
Spider-Man
like they just get their own solo movie where they be able to stand on their own without the Spider-Man connection.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Dr. Octopus?
Really? Without a Spider-Man connection?
Doc Ock is like he's a pretty like deep character. I think you could add some stuff like leading up to him becoming Dr. Octopus. Who else? Norman Osborn.
By himself?
No, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I feel you, Jazz.
Like Norman Osborn, like Green Goblin Norman Osborn.
But it's kind of
like him building his
it up and everything like that, and like going crazy or something. I feel like it feels like a Lex Luthor thing where you kind of need Superman to play off of a little bit.
I feel like that's with a lot of the characters. Is there a villain or a character in the Spider-Man universe that you think? I know they're trying to do that Silver Sable.
Well, first of all, Silver Sable I wouldn't even consider a Spider-Man character. She just happens to be because she was with the Wild Pack and all this other stuff.
She was just featured there a lot.
I would say Spider-Woman.
Which one?
Jessica Drew.
I like that.
I think that doesn't necessarily have to connect to the Spider-Man universe at all, because Jessica Drew ends up becoming an Avenger. New Avengers run is one of the best runs. There we go. That's what I was waiting for. Super chat.
Who's that?
That is Moomin Rider.
Moomin Rider. Daniel Nagami?
No. That's Toku Kid's second account.
Do you think we get all those symbiotes for hybrid?
Huh? Do you think we get all symbiotes for hybrid?
Yes.
Well,
we get 3. We only get 3. We only get 3 in the movie.
Riot?
Well, I don't know who they are. I don't want to even speculate, but they're supposedly your 3.
Well, they confirmed that it was Riot. The first.
Riot's one of them.
Yeah.
Riot's one of them.
What?
Talk into the mic.
Okay, well, you can't hear me? Riot.
No.
Right.
All right, let's go. Hit the video. Hit the video, leader of the...
시링초로 약한 공포 보치케 예예 보치케 예바 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 보치케 초리였던 모토이 보치케.
All right, that was great. I love these videos. Keep them coming. Go ahead, Johnny.
For mine, I would probably say, for me, The Prowler. The Prowler is like, he's this character.
Starring Donald Glover?
That worked, yeah.
I mean, he was the Prowler in the
movie, yeah. And the Prowler has this cool background. He's like this, like, he's an African American guy who's an engineer who's like really smart. Some things go wrong or whatever. He ends up becoming the Prowler and everything like that. And he's almost like a Batman, but because of his background, he's seen as a criminal. In today's world, like with him being black too, I feel like you do some really deep storytelling with that. It's a movie that doesn't necessarily need Spider-Man there to work. You can just have another hero there, some other things happening.
Someone actually like identified the song.
Really?
Yeah. Kevin Duyan. It's Yo-Yo Villame, and yeah.
I feel like you knew that though.
I know that. I know it now looking at it, but he did identify the song.
That's the leader of your crookie face army. Hold on. That's your prom king, by the way. Let me just say for Angel Go Prom. That's who you want for prom king?
Yep.
Prom king.
The guy that
Spicy
sings that?
cookie. Spicy cookie. Spicy
If
cookie.
you guys
Cookie
do
spice.
vote for me for
Cookie
prom king,
spice.
I will sing that on stage. How's that?
Say it again. Say it again. You heard that. Say it again.
If I am voted prom, I will sing that song. I'll definitely sing that.
However,
song
if you
on
vote
stage.
for me for prom king, then you can get into Power Morphicon Angel Go Prom for free.
I think everybody that's going is going.
That's
for
not
free.
true because I control that. Because I control Angel Go Prom.
He's holding the prom ransom.
Vote for me, $20. Did you vote for me? $20. Oh, you voted for me? Come on in. So wait, Joe, what's the game that you want to play?
Yeah.
No, that was. I mean, I don't even remember at this point.
Oh, my bad.
But no, that's a good one. I think that. I mean, look, they're already doing another character too in the Sony universe. Mm-hmm. It's the Spike Lee's directing. What is it? He's directing.
It's not Moon Knight.
No, it's not Moon Knight. I was thinking Moon Knight too.
It's something else.
Spike Lee's directing a Sony Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So it's another Spider-Man character.
Night Watch.
Night Watch. Did you hear about that one?
Really?
Yeah. What? I don't. Well,
It's essentially Spawn.
Who's Johnny? Who's Night Watch?
I gotta look into it. I gotta look at that because if it's a character I think it is, I'm like, really? It's also let me check real quick.
It's not a big comic book store. Did he choose it or did Sony choose it for him?
No, I'm pretty sure that he chose it because I don't feel that like they would just say, "Hey, Spike Lee, you have to make this movie."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
I don't think so at the very least.
Spike Lee. When was the last time Spike Lee made?
Really?
Well, the Black Klansman is this current movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying I'll be honest. I did do some research because I'm looking at. I've never. This was one of those books that came out that like no one bought it, and you would probably like. It looks like you would find this in the dollar bin. Mm-hmm. So it only has like a few issues. Looks like Night Watch. I'll look into it, and check it out, and come back to you guys, talk to you guys about it next week. Because low key, Joe's right. It looks like Spawn.
Really? Can I see it?
Dude, it totally looks like Spawn.
It does.
Like, see right there?
It's a
man.
rip-off of Spawn,
Look at
yeah.
it. Yeah.
What the hell?
But well, before you get upset though, remember Spawn is low-key a rip-off of Spider-Man.
Yes.
Is he?
Yeah, if you look the way he was like done in first, he was top and bottom, drew him and the angles and whatnot. He was drawn like Spider-Man because he had literally just come from that Spider-Man run. He liked the eyes design, the costume. If you look at it, it's like he borrowed elements from the Spider-Man costume.
You know, one thing I'm excited about since we're talking about Marvel, and one of your loves, maybe not so much anymore, Chloe Bennett. She's in a new thing called Marvel Rising.
Oh yeah, it's an animated thing on Disney. Is it Disney XD?
Disney XD. Let's cut to a clip of San Diego Comic-Con interviews with the cast of Marvel Rising.
Ooh, yay.
What do you guys want audiences to take away, especially young kids that are going to be watching this, and some exposed to Marvel for the very first time?
So many mics. I think. Yeah. Can everyone give me their mics, please? I think what's great about it is that it's just. You know, I have an interesting strong female characters is such a weird way to say things because it's just female characters.
Sure.
Because I know these are just young girls, these are just women, and they're dynamic the way that real women are, and I think that's the biggest takeaway. Yeah. I'm trademarking strong male characters, because I just think it's ironic because I just think it's so, you know, we're kind of at a point where their characters are now just the way that women are, and so these what the show does so well is it really blurs a line of like a protagonist and an antagonist and breaks down barriers, and you see faults in the good guys and you see good in the bad guys. And I think, I don't mean to get too political, but you kind of touched on this a little bit. It's such a divisive world that we're living in right now, and I think if everyone can kind of start to see themselves in other people and try to find the good in other people, or be like, maybe that person's not the idol I thought they were,
especially people that seem different than them.
Exactly. I think that this show really teaches that in a really simple and really stripped down way, which is like, it's Marvel.
You've New Warriors was announced a while ago, and we haven't had much of an update. And I love Squirrel Girl. I've seen a ton of Squirrel Girl cosplays.
Squirrel Girl too.
What? Can you give us an update on what's going on?
Do you want them to shoot me right in front of all the cameras?
No.
If I say
I do not want them
anything, they will find me, they will hunt me, and then they will come after you.
Like
That's
Liam
probably
Neeson.
true.
Like Liam Neeson.
No.
I will find you.
Yeah, right.
And I will kill you. Yikes.
They're listening.
They're like, what is that? It's like, it's from the future.
We're back.
Yeah, Marvel Rising.
You excited?
The animation looks pretty cool. And then they got Spider-Gwen, your favorite.
Why Spider-Gwen?
That's not my favorite.
Yeah, you
Why making things up?
Didn't you say that you hated Spider-Gwen?
No, I said I was like Spider-Gwen is cool and everything like that, but people just like her because of the cool costume and everything like that. They haven't really fleshed out their character that much, which is low key why I actually kind of like this, because like I love the trailer for this because they're actually fleshing out the character.
Yeah,
they give her more of a backstory.
A lot of the characters definitely. It's giving.
Oh hell yeah! And we're getting Squirrel Girl on the screen, which is going to be badass. Camilla Khan is going to be on there.
I'm surprised that we haven't seen that new Warriors TV show after it's already been shot. And Squirrel Girl's being played by the same actress.
Oh, seriously? So you like double dipping?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
well, I mean, Chloe
Quake,
Bennett's also
Quake,
playing Quake,
yeah.
so
that's dope. Nice.
So that Dove Cameron plays
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen. So maybe she'll be.
But she's already in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah,
now.
she is.
But then my buddy Tyler Posey.
Yeah, and don't forget your.
Wait, Tyler Posey is who?
He's playing. Oh man, it's like a demon-esque character.
Oh.
And don't forget though, she could end up playing Spider-Gwen, because don't forget your best friend Chris Evans, he did 2 roles.
Okay.
So you never know.
You never know.
You never know. So talking. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, because we haven't really talked about it. How do you guys feel about the Titans TV show?
Teen Titans, if it's like that. Teen Titans, go Teen Titans. I'm down with that.
I'm kind of hyped
the live
about
action
it.
one.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like is the look of Starfire and Beast Boy.
I disagree with you.
Not now, Jezzer.
What?
You're
Jezzer.
bad.
Controversy, Jezzer.
What?
She's getting attacked on Instagram, Jezzer.
Oh, is
by
she?
racist Jezzer.
Oh, no, it's not
You sound
that.
like the racist Jezzer.
No, it's not
Jezzer, take it back now.
It's not that. That's not the reason.
Why don't? Wait, whoa.
It's just the costumes are kind of like.
I
weird.
will.
She looks kind of like a.
That's your biggest complaint about that show? I don't know. Listen, I feel that. Here's my opinion on this. Anyone that's going to complain about Titans, just realize, for just a quick second, you have Arrow, which is honestly, if you're an Arrow fan and you're watching this, great. But I'm about to shit on that show.
Whoa! Arrow's, here we go. Wait.
Arrow's biggest problem is peripheral vision. That hood is not useful for anything. Also, the show's terrible. The biggest fear that you guys have for Titans, listen, for all the people that are out there commenting on Starfire, you guys are morons. First and foremost, like, honestly, she looks great to me. I think she looks great. I think the effects can be better with her and Beast Boy, but that's the least of my worries. Because for all of you fans that are, I find it so funny too. Comic book continuity fans are the ones that are up in arms about this. And to me, you guys are the biggest hypocrites in the world. Because, listen, Arrow is not what the Green Arrow was. But the fucking Flash is Wally West, not Barry Allen. Realize it. But what I'm saying is that I'm going to give Titans a chance. Now, I know they start off controversial, and that's what they want to do. But the suits look good. I think the cast looks good. And I'm just happy that we have the Titans in live action format, period. Because it can't go anywhere else.
I just got news that her costume in the comic book is going to be her costume in the show, and that hair that she has in the trailer is a wig.
But so what? Back in the 80s, Starfire had that curly hair.
She did. It's a little
like
homage
that's
to it.
that's the George Perez run.
Yep.
And that's when listen, that's like saying, okay, cool, let's have Nightwing have his pop collar disco looking uniform. He doesn't because it's modern era. But I understand what they're trying to do. I think it's kind of cool.
I would embrace
actually.
that. I would embrace that Nightwing, because that'd be cool to see.
It was kind of weird. Sometimes he was like bare chest.
Yeah, and it was like deep cut, like that.
Exactly.
that
it was
deep
like,
cut.
It's like you're gonna get shot there, bro. You need body armor. But
I think Starfire looks great. I think Beast Boy looks great. I agree with you, Jezzer. There should be more of a little hint of green on Beast Boy, and it'd have been cool to see him transform into an actual animal.
I felt like at the very end of that trailer, like a big like green gorilla or something, you know.
Yeah, or be like, yeah, I'm a kitty now. Check out my kitty now. That would have been dope.
I don't know if they're gonna.
I love
they
that.
said
that would've
he
been
did.
hilarious,
He did
actually.
say Greg Sipes had something like a live stream where he said that he worked with Ryan Potter and that they're gonna make Ryan Potter's gonna be how he is in the show, how Greg Sipes created him.
character.
Yeah,
That's dope.
So he's gonna be comedic.
Well, see, that's the dope thing about it, though, because like Joe's absolutely right. Like that George Perez run, and can't remember who's I'm dropping the ball here. It's George Perez,
Mark Wolfman,
and Mark Wolfman. Thank you. We're doing like the creation of that series. And the thing about this, though, when that comic was coming out, it was killing it. The game, people loved it because the thing about this, you had these teenage heroes who were getting these like in-depth, dramatic storylines. But guess what? They still had the comedic balance as well. That's why Beast Boy was there. That's why the Flash was there and whatnot. But the thing about this was that they still stayed true to like who these characters are and kept them growing as characters. This TV show is natural growth. And to be honest with you, Joe's right. Like the Teen Titans show that everyone loved, that was with the cartoon back in the day. They had all those dramatic storylines and whatnot. You've been asking for it to come back, and guess what? You're low key getting it as a live action version.
No, actually,
be
also,
open to it.
Also, you're getting the TV show back too.
Exactly, yeah. If you're a Teen Titans fan, this is an amazing time for you because you have a balance. You have Teen Titans Go, which is freaking hilarious. You have the animated series coming back to continue the storylines and solve that cliffhanger. And now we have a live action show. Dude, this is so dope because here's the thing, let's be honest, everybody. For the longest time, we want a Robin movie. We want to see Dick Grayson. Guess what?
Now I feel like
and then here's the thing though, because I want Dick Grayson because you know what we might get 5 years after that? I might get my boy Tim Drizzy. I might get Tim Drake.
I was gonna punch you in the face if you said Jason Todd.
No.
Jezzer, you and I actually talked about this at Comic-Con. I think I was with you. We were going to Deadpool, and we were talking a little bit.
Brax, maybe.
That was Brax. But I remember talking to somebody about this, because he does say in the beginning of the trailer, he says, fuck Batman.
Fuck Batman.
And to me, the biggest complaint I have about this trailer isn't Starfire, isn't Beast Boy. It's that's how it starts off, because I don't feel like that was Dick Grayson. I feel like that was actually Jason Todd. You know what I mean?
Well, time out though.
But not saying it's not. I'm just saying that was my opinion.
But when Dick Grayson was turning into Nightwing, trying to develop that identity, he had some like animosity towards Batman, right?
Yeah, and listen, we talked to Jeff Johns, and Jeff Johns, you were there when Jeff Johns said there's going to be a reason why he's at this point in his life.
Yeah.
And I think I'm excited for the show. So that Swamp Thing, dude. We're getting some great DC stuff.
Doom Patrol.
We have a big story on that coming up, by the way.
And we'll just tag in real quick. Because, like, again, the cool thing about that is, though, is that for anybody who's a fan of the original Batman animated series, they've always done a really great job of showing that transition from Robin to, like, Nightwing. For remember, the Batman animated series is like a 3-part of the series.
They even had a little bit of in Batman Beyond. They
a little bit flashback to it,
Yeah.
And remember the animated series, there was that point where Batman was beating up the criminal from his family, and Dick was like, this isn't the way that I want to be a hero. He was like, he saw Batman crossing a line where people feel like Batman went too far. And that was the dope thing about when he becomes Nightwing, because like people forget about this, but the original origin word Nightwing pays homage to 2 heroes that he's inspiring him. Night is Batman, and the wing is for Flash or Superman. That's why the blue's in the costume, because he's a hero who's like dark, but also has a hope as well.
So you actually brought up a great point there. Do either of you know how he gets the name Nightwing?
Well, I know the origin of the original Nightwing from the bottled universe and everything like that.
Yes,
Superman gave it to him.
Superman gave him the name Nightwing.
Yeah,
because it's from the Kandor, the bottled universe of Kandor.
Yeah, because that's where Flamebird comes from as well.
Flamebird and Nightwing. So moving on to Superman and Batman's relationship, I know you want to talk about the Flash, and we'll get there. But can we move on to the death of Superman?
Oh yes.
Since we're talking about. Did you see the movie?
Now, here's the thing. The movie came through, and Jezzer let me know they were watching this, but the only problem was, though, is that I couldn't get access to watch it. I wanted to. I tried, like, 8 different times, but I couldn't watch it. But I do know some of the cool things about it, like some of the character designs, and there's some things that I really love about this movie. I really want to watch it, so some things I really love about this movie.
So, I mean, this is going to be a good conversation, then, because I saw The Death of Superman last night. You saw it as well last night. Thank you so much, Warner Brothers, for sending us a copy. Let's talk about it. Let's chat about it, because this is what got me into comics.
This
specific story got me into comics.
This is what you got you into comics.
This is what got me to this area back. You guys don't know where we are. We're in Manhattan Beach, the comic book. But early up the street, there was a place called Galaxy Comics, and that was my first ever comic store experience. Buying the Man of Steel issue, which was the first part of that Superman story.
Yes,
This is my first comic book.
You know what I loved about this movie, though? It's continuity. Like it's connected to all of the DC, or all of the most, all
the
of the
new
most
52 stories.
Yeah, all of the most recent DC films, Justice League, Mortal, and it's all connected. Like the Aquaman, the Throne of Atlantis, is connected to that too, which is great. I thought it's like, oh man, they're going back. They're going back throughout the whole movie. They keep going back to the other films, like even the relationship between Superman and Wonder Woman at one point. Remember? And I thought it was great. I thought the build up to this fight was great.
There's a little give and take here for me, because I was so enamored with the original.
Yes.
That I wanted that original story. But when I got this, I quickly understood that this was, okay, this is the new 52, Superman's version of how the death of Superman would go. And realistically, I sat back and watched it, and I thought to myself, man, I wish the movies would have done this.
Yeah.
You see, and that's the thing. That's the dope thing about those, because like one, you watched it in a good way. Like you weren't the like overzealous comic book fan who's like, it needs to be exactly like the book.
I legit cried when Superman died.
Yes, this was this scene where Superman, spoiler, dies.
Superman, yeah.
Was I felt more emotionally invested in this than I did when Henry Cavill died.
Well, I mean, I think the big reason for that is because, all right, now we're going to go into spoilers for this because it's not out yet, I don't believe.
I think it's digital.
Is it out digitally?
Yeah.
All right, so for those of you that want to...
And it was leaked like weeks
Yeah,
ahead.
it's not a huge spoiler alert, but we are going to go into spoilers for the Death of Superman animated movie. Now, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. So, what I want to talk about right now is that I think the heart of this movie is Lois Lane.
Definitely Lois Lane.
And what happens in this movie... Man, there's a couple scenes that really got me. Is that she doesn't know that he's Superman yet.
He looks
reveals
exactly
that
the same.
He reveals that to her. By the way, Jerry O'Connell knocked it out of the park. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I thought Nathan Fillion was brilliant.
Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, hilarious.
Who did Rainn Wilson play?
Lex Luthor.
Nice.
And all I heard was Dwight. I was like,
that's funny because
it's like all I heard is Dwight.
I actually didn't know Rainn Wilson played Lex Luthor. I thought it was somebody else. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Then they said it was Rainn Wilson. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even notice it.
It was Dwight. It's like Dwight being evil. It's like as if no one held back Dwight, and he's just straight up evil. It's like. Man,
so
Dwight.
one thing that really touched me about this was that the whole story is based on Clark and Lois's relationship, but they're all. I mean, he never gets the actual chance to tell her he loves her. He leaves it in a note. They're always at arm's length.
Yeah.
I thought that the story was really touching. That's one thing I did like about it. Now I feel that like from the beginning of this movie to the middle of this movie is all about the Lois and Clark relationship.
Yes.
But like the beginning of the movie has an action sequence in it, and the like I would say like a quarter of this movie is about the fight. Like it's just the fight.
It's so long.
The fight's
it is so long.
Guys,
First off,
wait, you said spoiler. Tell it. Who's he fighting?
Doomsday.
He's fighting Doomsday.
Yeah.
So it starts at the beginning.
No, the Doomsday comes from space.
So it's kind of like the comic book. Doomsday comes down.
Yeah.
And does he beat up the Justice League like in the comics and start
Yes.
messing them up and everything like that?
Destroys the Justice League.
Like out of nowhere, Hawkeye comes.
Hawkman.
Hawkman comes in, and like he wasn't in the rest of them, so they didn't really give him an introduction. He just comes in with his little mace, and he just gets destroyed.
Okay, now here's the thing. So again, you're telling me this because I'm loving the fights and everything like that.
Yeah.
So with some of the DC animated movies, especially when you get scenes like this, they'll push the line. They'll do a little bit of animated blood and stuff like that.
No. There's a scene where because he lands in the ocean. Doomsday lands in the ocean.
Oh, with the Lex Luthor's guy.
Yeah, and then so there's these Atlanteans that come to inspect what is going on because they hear weird noises. He straight up grabs their heads and just crushes them.
No way! So there's like blood in the water and everything?
Yeah, dude.
Whoa.
There's blood everywhere. There's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
There's so much like Superman is just like He's
covered in it.
He's covered in blood.
All right, quick question though. So when Doomsday comes down, do they do a kind of in the comic where he was like in the green suit and it slowly comes off?
Yeah.
Like,
You don't.
has a mask on and everything.
He doesn't.
He
You don't get the
doesn't have
reveal.
thing
You
in
don't
his
get the
back.
reveal until Superman actually starts fighting him. Like part of his mask comes off when he's fighting, I think Wonder Woman or something, or Batman.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah,
Wonder
where you
Woman.
get to see a little bit of who's under
Might be
that.
Green Lantern.
It looks
actually.
like a hazmat suit.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a hazmat.
All
suit.
right, now check it out. So here's the thing. So in the comic book, when he fought this ragtag team of like Justice League members that were like, so who's
these the
fighting?
private? So it's Hawkman,
Green
Green Lantern, Wonder Woman,
Martian
Flash,
Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter, Batman.
Dope. Okay,
Cyborg.
which Green Lantern?
It's Hal.
So
And
they
quick-
almost skip it. I know in the comic they do Bloodstone,
But
right?
a quick note though, Bloodstone was actually Martian Manhunter.
They do Booster Gold, Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
I think Fire Ice.
And they do Guy Gardner.
Guy
when he had the
Gardner,
yellow
that's
ring.
right.
Time out. In the comic book,
Time
do any Justice League members actually die?
No.
Well,
Do they? No.
Blue Beetle's really severely injured.
He is. He goes to the hospital. It looks like he's died, but he didn't die.
I want to say this Guy Gardner is pretty
No,
fucked up.
he
though.
gets because remember he used the big blast on him,
Yeah.
and he gets smacked around, but he doesn't die either.
Does Bloodstone?
No, he gets knocked the heck out because later on they find out he's.
I know Fire and Ice don't die.
Definitely not. 'Cause
The person I felt bad for
Ice
in
dies
this
later
film,
on.
Yeah.
the person I felt bad for.
Yeah,
in
Ice
thi-
dies. She does die later.
The person I felt bad for in this film was Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, because the fire just.
He gets thrown into like a gas station and it explodes, and then he's just like he hates fire. So he's
Oh yeah,
just-
that's his weakness. Yeah,
so
It's a
he's
kryptonite.
on fire and he's just dying. And like he was fine. He was phasing out, so Doomsday couldn't punch him. But then he had to distract.
So I'm not gonna lie. There are two moments that made me really tear up in this movie.
Which one?
Okay, one.
One is when he dies.
Yeah.
Obviously. But the other one, which I found is a great moment, there's actually two.
Yeah.
But there's one where he's on a bridge and he saves a little kid. And like his mom is over on the side and he just gives the kid his little game back and the kid hugs him. That was one. But the second one is where he actually saves Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah, but Lex Luthor was mad. Like he was
Lex
like,
Luthor
no.
was pissed that he saved him, but he saves him and he looks at him and
They look at each other.
It's like we got to do this together, almost kind of like we don't know what's gonna happen. But Lex Luthor wants the glory, but you could tell that they're kind of in it together.
It's a begrudging.
Yeah,
team-up.
man, the way that it's handled is so good to me.
Can I jump? Like, I gotta be real. Like, you guys are telling me, like, I want to see this movie, and honestly, like, from what you described to me, it sounds so much better than we got on screen. Because we had this conversation a few weeks ago about Batman v Superman and what was the second one? It was Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
About how that was the second one, Batman v Superman. After Superman, Man of Steel, was that Superman didn't save anybody, and right here we get him saving.
He was saving a
Lex Luthor,
bunch
Saving
of
everybody.
kids.
He
And
was-
that's the thing, though. That's
he's-
he's
because
Superman.
he's fighting
In
and
this
he's
movie,
saving.
he tries his best to get the fight in outer space, but it doesn't work.
See, you get
Like it just
Superman.
doesn't work. So Doomsday
Superman.
just beats the shit out of him
Yeah,
and brings it
dude.
back down to
and
Metropolis.
he just keeps growing and growing and dang.
And
This
then
sounds amazing. This sounds dope as hell.
The animation too. I don't know, like
Brilliant,
It
man.
looks like an anime.
It does.
Really?
Yeah. I will say this: Warner Brothers Animation knocked it out of the park. Now, and you got to think though, because I'm a hardcore. There's two things about this you'll appreciate actually. So, you get I don't want to say cameos. But you definitely get seeds.
Name drops.
Yeah, you get
John
seeds.
John Henry.
Yeah, John Henry Irons, but you also get Hank Henshaw
Henshaw,
in space.
but he's dead.
And you see Superboy.
Oh my God! There's a
Yes.
scene. Hank Henshaw is in space with his wife, and he's like, "Oh, Superman's gonna save us. Superman's gonna save us." Like he believes in him so much that he's gonna save him, and then he dies. It's so sad. It's like he believes it till the very
Yeah, you
end.
get Hank Henshaw. You also see Superboy in Lex Luthor's chamber.
Oh yeah, Superboy. They're planting seeds for obviously the
Oh
sequel.
no,
to
they've
this.
like I've seen like those cool things. Like I got like some things have leaked or whatever, so I saw some of the character designs for it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I loved, and you jump ahead a bit, is like for the character design for the Superboy, they're going with the '90s Superboy that came out, the one with the leather jacket and everything like that. They're saying that's the design he's going to have, which for me is
Ooh.
just so badass.
Yeah, so
Because that's
they're
the
laying
definitive
down. They're
Superboy.
laying down for what? Steel, Cyborg Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Josh asked a question. How do you guys feel about the scene in the Hall of Justice where they're all talking about their lives and Superman can't believe
That Flash
that
told
they're allowed
Iris.
to have their personal lives
Yeah.
intertwined? Well, that's a great point because so this intertwine, and I think that this movie does this kind of brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that obviously the wedding of Superman comes way later on down the line.
Yeah.
And I think that they do a great job of kind of intertwining these stories.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman just kind of being like, because the Flash is getting married the next day.
Yeah.
And he even makes a point of it, like, oh, I'm getting married. Sorry, it's a small wedding. Like,
it's only close personal family.
Yeah. And he tells him like when did you tell her? And he's like, oh, I told her a long time ago.
You don't want to drop that news in the honeymoon.
And then I love the fact that Aquaman's like, you haven't told her yet? Like, he's like just digging it in. And then Clark finally realizes why I have to tell her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But you know what's dope about that though? Like, again, I haven't seen the movie, and it makes me, and it sounds amazing, and it brings up all these thoughts, because one of the things it brings up is like, if you think about the fact that he's never told her, and you think about like who else on the team keeps that secret as hard as like Superman, and the close thing is like Batman. They're the two people who are the most about the mission.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Like, maybe that's the reason why they're so close.
Superman and Batman?
In a way, because they have this.
Oh yeah,
they're the most about the mission.
He had a scene, I think, like where he was torn up, like after Superman dies. He was like, you could tell that he's just emotionally like wrecked. Another funny scene though too is when Batman's like, oh, I have to go to Damien's boarding school, and then the Flash
is like clowning him. He's like, are you on the PTA?
Are you on the PTA? Are you on the PTA? It's from the comic, like, and you only get it for like in the very beginning, because then like when Doomsday comes, they just get there.
There's a good. I mean, a third of the movie's a fight.
Yeah,
and
a whole third.
Like you see the Justice League get just kind of run through Hawkman.
Cyborg just gets ripped.
Oh
apart.
man, his eyes dangling.
Yeah, dude, it is like the animation on this thing. It's amazing. There's so much blood, and just like you're really on the edge of your seat and think, oh man, this Justice League member is going to die. They're going to die. The fight where Wonder Woman's fighting, where he's just like, she's on the ground and he's just pounding away at her. Is like, is she dead? Like, is she dead? He is just murdering her right now.
See, this sounds amazing, because that's how the comic was.
Yeah.
When Doomsday showed up, and Joe, you know, because you read it too, it was just brutal. Like, he would just walk through people, and honestly, it got to the point where people were like, where's Superman? Because we need him to save the heroes.
And the special features talks about that. It's like, how do you make a comic book storyline 4 issues of a fight?
Yeah.
Right? And after they said that, I was like, oh wow, like this is Goku and Majin Buu. Like, they literally stretch it out for as many episodes as they could. But I think the difference here is that with the comic version of this, it played so well because it was the anticipation that you knew Superman was going to die, because I feel like that was in the mass media. In this version, which you brought up is a great point, this absolutely was a Justice League War to this continuation all the way through. It's almost like the DC animated movies embraced the New 52, and this movie was the culmination. So I feel like
this is not the end, but this is what they've been building this whole time, and they weren't like aggressively building it, like saying, oh, every year there's a new animated film. Like, they're just like, oh, look, I love this Aquaman story, let's talk about that. I love Flashpoint, let's talk about that. Flashpoint wasn't part of it. Yeah,
man, and I really did walk away thinking, wow, I wish the movies would have done this.
Okay, there is one character, he's like a
Bilbo.
Yeah, that they inserted in
another reason I almost started crying.
They inserted
Bilbo.
this guy. So yeah, he's like supposed to be this like.
He is in the comics. You know Bilbo. He's a huge part of the Superman comic.
Oh,
he's that sailor guy that has his restaurant.
Yeah.
Huge part.
Yeah, so they put him in the very beginning. He's like, oh, Superman, can you take a picture with me? And like he's like, oh, come to my restaurant. Ribs are on me. Like he after like Superman saved him, he retired and opened up a restaurant. And they inserted this character in there just for like for the viewer to like emotionally get attached to Superman.
You want to hear a funny story?
What?
Cosmic Protectors. Your character's based on Bilbo because.
Oh my god!
I'm not gonna lie to you.
And then, like at the very end, at the very end when Superman dies, he has a scene just by himself. He's by the docks, and he's like, "What kind of cruel world is this where a guy like me?"
He pretty much says, He pretty much like calls out God, and he says, "I don't understand God. I don't know why a guy like me survived, and somebody that did so much died." It's super intense because in that moment where he's doing the Hail Mary,
oh my
it's
god,
so good.
It isn't that a moment, Joe remind me too, because I remember isn't Bilbo in the comics too, and after
Superman
dies,
absolutely.
There's a part where he takes on his memory. Yeah.
So in the comics, obviously, you know the Bilbo. A lot of you guys that know the comics, and I'm sure it'll jog your memory a little bit, but. He's called Superman's best friend,
and also Superman's pal.
And it's exactly how he kind of portrays himself in this movie, and he does do everything for the best cause. and the way that he's portrayed in this movie is brilliant. Cat Grant's also great in this movie.
She was like kind of the one egging Lois on, like, because they had like a secret relationship, and then Cat Grant's, everyone knows you guys are together.
The Kents, man, when they were at the
funeral.
funeral.
At the funeral, that was so sad. So they had a funeral for Superman, and it was in like the center of Metropolis, and the Kents were there crying, and the cop told them,
they were like close to it, and they were like, "You got to back up." Everybody loves Superman, and then they were just like to me.
I'm not even watching, and then that just hurt me a little bit right
so
there.
Sad. It's like
to tell our parents,
your kid is dead, and you can't be there you can't be with them.
I honestly feel like this movie did. If you compare Batman vs Superman and Death of Superman,
this is better.
This is the movie that you
see. That's dope. See, that's another reason why I get mad at fucking Man of Steel. I'm sorry. That's the reason I get mad at Man of Steel is because the problem with it is though is that like when they killed Paul Kent, it's like Paul Kent. I agree with that. Just like him being there is that emotional crush because when you read the
Paul
comics,
Kent doesn't have to die no more, right? I mean, there's no point in him being
Paul Kent.
Yeah.
Well, he's dead in the movies now because they've done that. If they restarted, no.
No, I mean, but in New 52 is.
Oh no, he's alive. Because the thing about what happens is that, because the thing about Paul Kent is he's the emotional crush of Superman in the comics. When he's having a big moral dilemma, he goes home and talks to his parents, just like any of us would do if we're having a big problem in life. And they give him that old sage advice. And one of the most beautiful things is different writers have done this. They've done the death of like Paul Kent, the death of his like, and anytime a writer hits it, it's just heart wrenching and so sad.
Episode 100 of Smallville, like I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
That was the word. Like I was like, dude, Jonathan Kent is. Like, he is the perfect dad, I think.
Yeah.
The perfect
Paul
dad.
Kent's amazing.
But the great part about this movie is that you see the humanization of Superman, where, like, they're like, oh, Lois, you know, he hasn't told you a lot about him. And then his parents are there, and Clark is trying to be like, don't tell that story.
Yeah,
don't say that.
He's so embarrassed.
And you see, like, the parents are just kind of like, you know, we protected you when you were a kid, but is it a thing now? And then you see that, like, later on down the line it is. And that I think the moral stakes that kind of happen, like honestly, Lois to me is the hero of this story, because when Superman's like almost about to die, she just throws a rock at Doomsday and it catches his attention.
She has another rock in her hand,
and she knows that Doomsday is going to kill her. And then Clark, you know, does this thing. But to me, and she's talking to him, she's like, Clark, and she's like telling him.
She's kind of whispering because she knows he can.
And I was like, dude, this movie is so well thought out. Yeah. It's very good.
And then like the scene that made it so emotional is like when Superman's about to die, and Lois is holding him in his hands. The first thing he says is like, "Did I save everybody?" And then she's like, "Yes, you saved everybody. You stopped him." And he's like, "Oh, is he dead?" He's like, "Yeah, he's dead." And then he goes back to her telling that he loves her, and he goes.
He doesn't even say it though.
Yeah, he's like, no, he doesn't say it, but she told him, and then he goes. I was the luckiest man. Like I was the luckiest man. And then he dies.
See, that's beautiful right there.
So
that is Superman. That is Superman. That's what we never got in the movies until that last Justice League movie. He's the one who inspires you. He's the one who gives hope. He's the one who literally saves everybody. Like I'm sorry,
we don't need two brooding superheroes. We already got Batman with that.
Like I'm sorry, Man of Steel. I'm sorry again. I understand that people try to do something different with him, but that inspired me. That was a Superman. Batman v Superman again was not Superman. It wasn't until Justice League and those last 10 minutes where was that scene with the Flash where like the Flash running one car and Superman's like, I'll take the right. It comes up carrying a house and you're like, oh shit.
But even with
that's
that,
Superman.
Is when the funeral was going on and Batman was at his place just watching it. You see Damian come up to him and kind of give him a hug.
And you know how Damian's
because
kind of
you could see Batman just kind of like distraught, and then Damian kind of just hugs him.
Yeah, he didn't even go to the funeral or anything.
It was fucking like honestly. To me, like at first when I started watching it originally, I was like, "Man, this isn't the story."
A little bit.
Like, this isn't the story that I wanted. This isn't the story that I thought. But then when you actually get to the meat and potatoes of it, it's like, dude, this is so good.
They had a plan. They're like the first 2/3 of the movie. They're building like
the Lois and Clark relationship,
and they're building a connection with the viewer with Clark Kent. Not just with Superman, but with Clark Kent also. And then the last half is the fight, and then the reveal. And you're just like, oh man, like it's like you got punched in the gut.
But let's talk about a couple Easter eggs, though. One thing I want to bring up is that when you see Superboy in Lex's kind of chamber, he's wearing his New 52 costume.
Really?
However, I saw the trailer for it, and he's wearing the Superboy, like the straight up like. And I was like, and they describe him as, imagine if he was Superman, but a Kardashian.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh dude, this is brilliant.
So badass.
Oh, you probably don't have the trailer. I have the trailer for the next one.
Yeah, I've seen it online already. Yeah,
Reign of Superman.
Actually, yeah,
The Reign of the Superman.
we covered it. That's why I read it. I saw it on our thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
And then you also got the John Henry Irons, who's voiced by the dude that's Black Lightning.
Yeah, Black
which
Lightning.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Dope.
And it was just like his thing is like, oh, come in here, but he didn't have a really big. Scene.
But I love that they had him in it.
But, and then they gave him a little bit of a background. It's like, oh, I worked at this construction site, and then I got let go, and you were there. Like he was wearing a Superman shirt, like,
and he's like, I wear it with pride because you saved me, blah blah.
So they're planning like in this movie.
But then you have Eradicator, who's there obviously, and he is just about Superman being the Justice, and then you have Cyborg Superman, who's the Hank Henshaw character, who's also voiced by Jerry O'Connell. So what I find interesting about this is you take Superman and put him into 4 personalities. This is what they would be. I am so excited about the next part of this. Lois Lane was a hero by the end of this, and I think she's going to be a hero in the next part. I'm really excited about this.
And then the very end is you just see him like resurrected. He's flying in the sky.
Jerry O'Connell was great.
Yeah.
Like at first it took me a little bit, but then I was like, oh man, I almost forgot. I was like, Jerry O'Connell's. He's great in this role.
I'm looking forward to it.
And then his wife actually played Lois Lane.
Rebecca Romaine was Lois Lane. Cress Williams, he was Steel.
I'm so down for this because hopefully we get some cool things out of it and everything like that. Because like with Superboy being here, we can maybe get like we have the Young Justice, but we get the actual Young Justice like cartoon, which is the 3 of those guys taking together running around. And Superboy's stories are just so amazing. He's such a cool character. Steel is freaking amazing. He's like this Iron Man character, and when he joins the Justice League, like, dude, this is this. I'm sorry. Why did you bring this up? Why do you hurt me, Jezzer? Why do you hurt me? So wait, before we wrap up though, because guys, this sounds amazing, and you bring up all these great emotional moments, everything like that kind of like test you. So let me just ask you guys this: like, as like comics fans over the years, going from comics to the TV shows and whatnot, what is like one of the saddest moments for you in comics that you read? What happened? And kind of.
Well, I know mine definitively. Like after this was probably my first, but definitively my saddest moment in comics. Man, there's a couple. One is Identity Crisis. Well, a couple times in Identity Crisis, but one Identity Crisis where you're seeing the montage between what's going on with Tim's dad and Bruce's parents, but also at the very end where Ralph is just kind of talking to his dead wife. I cried throughout the whole fucking thing. It was great. Identity Crisis is my favorite comic book storyline ever. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's amazing.
It has so many good scenes. Like there's a scene even leading up to like that. There's a scene when Ralph Elongated Man. Yeah. When he finds out that his wife dies or whatever, he has to go up to make the speech at the funeral.
Oh,
and they cut to Ollie, and Ollie's like, "Be strong." No, it's Hawkman. Hawkman was like, "Be strong. Be strong. You can do this." And then he just breaks down. And
have you ever read Identity Crisis?
That's the one you told me to start.
You're gonna fucking
you have
cry,
to watch.
bro.
You have to.
Not even lying.
You have to read it. It's amazing.
I could tell that that's his favorite story because when I was interviewing Elongated Man from The Flash,
I brought that up.
He stepped in and was like, "Hey, are you gonna do Identity Crisis?" And even he knew that it was a huge pivotal role for his character.
What about you, Jay? What's your sad one?
Like I said, I haven't read a lot of comics.
Oh, just again the media, everything.
Yeah, I think probably the part where Jason Todd dies. Yeah, where Jason Todd dies and Batman just feels like he failed and he doesn't know what to do. I think that was probably. But I haven't read a comic from the start of a storyline all the way to the end where I'll probably start with Identity Crisis.
It's intense, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've read it a lot, and there's certain scenes that just hit me in the heart.
You think they could do a animated film of it?
They can, but it has to be. There's scenes in there that are very R-rated.
Yeah,
really? Based off what we just.
Well, no,
there's a lot
like
more. It would be like if you could animate the Watchmen, would you animate it?
Yeah.
I honestly, and I'll always say this is that. This is my version. Identity Crisis is my version of the Watchmen.
No, you're totally valid of that. Like when it came out, when it was going out, I had friends who I talked to about it, and some friends like it's cool with them because they're like it's just like Watchmen. But but again, it's like the Watchmen of our generation though, because for people who didn't grow up when Watchmen came out, to see such a groundbreaking thing, Identity Crisis happens with our heroes.
How many issues is it for the
7?
Whole story? So 7 stories.
But the way that it is, and this is where actually you would talk about this, is that. The Flash and the Green Lantern, like, there's points where it's Wally and Barry, but it also points where it's Kyle and it's Barry and Hal, and there's points where it's Kyle and Wally.
Yeah.
And you see this interplay of like, honestly, man, it's the best thing that I can recommend anybody to like really jump on to superheroes, because they give an excuse to why the Silver Age was what it was, but why the modern age is what it is,
and why it changed.
And there's one panel in there where if you read it one way, you're like, okay, fine, and then you come back to it because the story gets revealed, and you're like, oh shit, like it's intense, man.
And what's dope about it too, though, is like the person who's writing it understands like the character so well.
Brad Meltzer,
because like he does all these like small things that really show. Like for example, like when the murder happens and like the heroes are going to investigate whatever, you're like, okay, what would Batman be doing? Like he was like, oh, Batman would be there with like a microscope, like walking around, blah blah. But no, there's just a note that says already checked.
Yeah.
And it's just all you need to do. And then later on, there's this cool scene where it's like they're going after, I think it was not Captain Boomerang, it was like Dr. Light. They were chasing Dr. Light down, and then Dr. Light goes for protection, and he goes to Deathstroke the Terminator.
Oh, that's a great. That's yeah, I forgot about that.
It's the most badass fight scene where Deathstroke's literally standing like on a stoop, like the Omar Star from The Wire. The heroes come after him. He's like, "You can start some, but I'm going to finish it though." And he literally fights the Justice League on his own,
and it's all
holds his own ground.
It's all narrated by the Green Arrow. So you see every single thing that he's doing is narrated by the Green Arrow, and then oh man, it's amazing. Like and the funny thing is, like, if I were to tell you, DC, Marvel, whatever it may be, I'm just a comic book fan. But at that point, it got to the point where it's like, you understand why these characters are who they are because of the way that it progresses out. Batman's not a huge presence in it.
No, but
Superman's not a
there where he
huge
needs to be.
Yeah, Superman's barely in it.
Nope.
Wonder Woman's not in it at all, I don't think.
She's there in the background, but doesn't have a big part.
But like, it's all about the minor characters. Like, the Atom is a huge character in this. Elongated Man. The Green Arrow,
Hawkman,
yeah.
Not only that though, but we get Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan's
yeah.
a part of it, but not the Hal Jordan we have now. Green Lantern. Hal Jordan, he was the Spectre.
Yeah,
is a part of it.
Oh yeah, he comes back in the. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There's all these little nods and stuff that's coming down the pipeline because Ollie's standing because Ollie had just come back from the dead. They're sitting in the cemetery just talking about how like when death happens to them, it's like you always have to come back. But what happens to the people in their lives? The people in their lives never come back, and that's what hurts them the most. And then Ollie kind of comes and like looks at Hal's like, "Yo, Hal, when are you coming back?" And he just looks at him with a smile. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And so it's just so good.
Like legit.
Is there a story in the Marvel comics that equals up to how great this one is?
So I've been reading Marvel for a while now, and I mean more recent Marvel. I've been reading a lot of, well, I guess he's gone now, but Brian Michael Bendis stuff. Is there a story? I mean, the Ultimate stuff I thought was really good. Like when Peter Parker died, the Miles Morales stuff I thought was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has the impact.
So the thing about
Identity Crisis.
Yeah, because what Joe's talking about, like again, the reason why Identity Crisis was so good is because it encompassed all the DC heroes, not just like we said, like the big three, like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, but it was like all those minor ones who played a role as well. Marvel, there's like every character has a swan song that's similar to that. Like for example, for Daredevil, you go to the death of Elektra. Yeah. For him, that's that swan song where this is emotional attachment. He's dealing with all these issues. For Spider-Man, there's several of them because he's just a sad character. You go to like death of Gwen Stacy. You go to the death of Captain Stacy, Gwen Stacy's father before she died. There's all these things you kind of hit with them. And not only that, like Joe said, Brian Michael Bendis, when Spider-Man dies, Miles Morales takes on the role. There's a whole like 30-issue run where it gets so emotional where they're going to see Peter's family, and you get kind of torn up inside about Peter's death and everything like that.
Because at that point too, especially, I've been following that Peter for such a long time. I had emotional attachment. But in Identity Crisis, the opposite of that is that I only read the book. It's only 7 issues. That's all you need to read.
Yeah.
You don't need to read other.
You don't.
Really?
Doesn't matter. But Marvel's a little different, I feel like.
It is. Because it's like, if you go to like a regular character's book, like for example, let's say you went and read Oliver Queen, like in his Green Arrow run, you wouldn't get that emotional like resonance in there. But you can go to again a Daredevil run, a Spider-Man run, a Captain America run, and you'll hit some moments like that where things will get emotional. The closest thing I can say, like in a tie-in series, like 4 issues that you read like that, would low key be the death of Captain America. There's 4
that's
issues.
The closest you'd probably get.
There's 4 issues where you go with one with each character. They go with they go with the Falcon for 1 issue where it's actually Captain America's funeral. There's an issue where they deal with Spider-Man. An issue where they go with Bucky and he's dealing with it with Wolverine because they can't accept he's dead. And that 4 issue run is like, it's heart wrenching. Because you realize, because in a way, I mean, you realize how much Captain America meant.
The only other thing I would kind of say is if you're an X-Men fan, is the death of Phoenix. The initial run, because it was like, hey, she did this thing, she was gonna die. I mean, I feel like with some of those X-Men comics, you get that, but obviously you know the X-Men history, so it's not going to stick. But I do agree with Johnny on that. I think that there's a big part of that. But with DC, like the other one was Kingdom Come.
Yeah. Oh, Kingdom Come is amazing.
It's one of my favorite books. But let's move on.
Oh, I was
Go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, there are two moments because again, like they kind of like get heart wrenching for me. One was again, Spider-Man's my favorite character, and he's a character that's all about death. So for a moment for me that kind of made me like get emotional was it was right around his anniversary, and they did this. It was this issue where he had just went through all these battles and all this stuff that happened, whatever. And Doctor Strange had showed up. I think it was J. Michael Straczynski was still doing this run. Straczynski, and he gives him a gift, and like Peter opens it up, and it's like he gets a 5-minute conversation with Uncle Ben. And he gets like some closure, he gets to talk to him. It's like pretty much Peter's like, did I do good type deals, and that's just tears me up every single time. And then as a kid, it was actually Superman the animated series. They had been like building this up the whole time. I never realized it, but there was a cop who was on there, and when the cop died,
Dan Turpin.
Yep. And the cop dies and everything like that when Dan Turpin dies because Dan Turpin.
Fucking Turpin.
Yep. Because when you realize who Dan Turpin is based off, Dan Turpin was Jack Kirby. And so the thing about it is though,
Dan Turpin's in this animated movie. He's the partner. He's the first cop that gets a thing around him. He's like, you don't want to kill a cop because that's Dan Turpin.
Him?
That's Dan Turpin.
And he does look like Jack Kirby.
He
no,
does.
that is Dan Turpin. Yeah,
and that's the thing. That was like a homage the animators did. And the thing about it is, again, when I went back and watched it, once I was like a comic book writer and realized how resonance was, it's such a powerful scene because even the funeral scene, the original funeral scene, it has all the characters Jack Kirby created from Marvel and DC. This is a DC anime show, so you can look at it like, oh shit, that's Peter Parker. Oh shit, that's the Fantastic Four. And they got this.
Wait a minute, Jack Kirby. Oh yeah, he did.
So Jack Kirby's
huge,
like,
he's the king.
He's like huge in the. Like,
he's the king of comics.
He also because he had an episode on like the 2003 Ninja Turtles show where there's an episode just with Donatello and Jack Kirby, where he was an artist.
I thought it was Ditko that created Spider-Man though.
So before he went to, Jack Kirby made the costume. And then Ditko went and did the run. He wanted Jack Kirby to do it, but Jack Kirby was busy doing everything else.
So he also had a hand in the Ninja Turtles too?
I think you're thinking of Dr. Kirby, because they just refer to him as Dr. Kirby on the show. Because I watched the show. They just called it was Kirby. Kirby was his last name. Oh, okay. Not Jack Kirby, though. No. But yeah, Jack Kirby is known as the king of comics because he created
the New Genesis.
New Genesis stuff, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. He worked on Captain America.
The X-Men. No, him and Stan Lee. Yeah, he created.
I know.
The
Yeah,
X-Men.
was it? Okay, but yeah.
Do you guys think he's a more important?
Yes.
Than
do you not know the stories about when they would do the Marvel bullpen and Stanley would come in and he'd do his thing and then Jack Kirby would be like, get out of here, Stan. Jack Kirby was the workhorse. Jack Kirby was always been the workhorse. There's a great book actually out there that's called The Untold Stories of Marvel. If you really want to get a deep understanding of the behind the scenes of this and about how Jack Kirby and Stan Lee kind of interacted, you'll be able to find that out.
And R.I.P. Steve Ditko, you find about him as well.
Ditko as well.
Because
Dave Baker has his own Steve Ditko story. Do you know that?
Oh yeah, of course. He's the letters and stuff like that. We talk all the time about it. Yeah, it's hilarious. But so like the cool thing about Steve Ditko was that people don't realize this. When you write today, the way comics are made is that, for example, I'll write a script, right, and it's almost like writing a screenplay, and then I'll give that to the artist, and then the artist will draw it, and sometimes you have a panel by panel breakdown or whatnot. Stan didn't work that way. There's this thing called the Marvel method. Stan would give an artist like a paragraph, and like, yeah, this is what the series is about. So the artist would go through and do the entire issue, and then Stan would go through and do the dialogue. The thing about it is though, is by doing it that way, they're both core storytellers, and artists are doing a majority of the work because they're putting in the beats, all the things like that, and hitting the points, and Stan's going back out doing the dialogue.
So it's almost like shooting a movie and not having the dialogue recorded, and then be like, all right, here's the movie, and then having everybody come in and do ADR.
That doesn't sound like...
That's what they did,
That's what they did. And it was the Marvel method, and it worked. But the thing about it was, that's the reason why the artists from Marvel get so much credit, because they were the storytellers. They were the ones putting these stories together. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you like Spider-Man, you can never just say it's Stan Lee. It's Steve Ditko and Stan Lee. Because Steve Ditko is the person who did the beats for that. He's the one who came up with like the story deals, the twists and the turns of it, everything like that. And so it was, and he was a fucking amazing storyteller. Again, when he died, it was R.I.P. Steve Ditko.
Steve Ditko hated Dave Baker, though. I'm just gonna say.
Wait, he what?
Did you not hear about the letters?
I know the letters, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, the last one too.
Yeah, fair enough. Whatever. Dave, I love Dave a lot.
Dave Baker's the shit. He's good.
I do want to talk about, last but not least, I do want to talk about the comic industry, because if there was no comic industry, we wouldn't be doing this show.
Yeah.
Johnny Parker. Where do you think the comic industry is at right now, currently?
I think this is personal opinion, and as you guys know, I went to the Eisner Awards, and seeing it there, I think we're on the cusp of a lot of greatness. Like, actually, so one also.
Hold on, I'm gonna cut you off real quick, and you can explain your point. The last time I felt like there was an actual renaissance in comics was during the 52, when it was Jeff Johns and Ed Brubaker and all these cats that were doing this storyline. I felt like that was comics. Like this is what I wanted. Like Grant Morrison was on that. There were so many creators. But where are we now with the state of actual comic books?
So I think so. I didn't tell you guys this, and I'll tell you guys now live on air. I actually just got a chance to have a conversation with David Walker, the writer of Power Man, Iron Fist, and Brian Michael Bendis. And so I actually got a chance to talk to them and like interview them. Like, we talked about the state of the comics industry. And again, for me, I was seeing this, but they kind of confirmed it for me. We're kind of like another renaissance in a way, but it's just like renaissance, like diversity and inclusivity, because we're seeing the fruits of a lot of people's labors. Like when we had milestone comics during the 90s and whatnot, and like all these people were like reading these books, they had these black and brown and Asian characters, these LGBT characters and whatnot. And like,
and prototype.
Yep. And people like, these are stories for me. A lot of these people come into comics now. And then because of like Kamala Khan, Miles Morales, and all these like diverse characters have been pushed and everything like that, and even though people don't want them, we're seeing creators rise up now. We're telling amazing stories. Sure. So right now, it's still happening really strongly in the independent scene. So you can go to Boom, you go to independent studios to see things like Spinning, like Monstrous. You can see things like Monstrous are my favorite things. These were all huge Eisner Award winners this year, but we're seeing like diverse storytelling coming from women, from people of color, from the LGBT community, everything like that. So I feel like we're getting that, and it's slowly and strongly pushing its way to mainstream comics, because we see like Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is an amazing book. We look at The Vision, the current storyline.
Tom King?
Was this Tom King who did the
Tom
story?
King?
Yeah. It was a different form of storytelling that we've seen before. So right now, I feel like comics are about to enter like to another renaissance. Granted, and the thing about it is, there's a lot of people pushing back on it, like the diversity in comics people and whatnot, who don't really like what's happening. But I feel like we're going to this new renaissance where we're getting like this diverse storytelling. That's in my opinion. What do you think, Jeff?
No, I agree with you. One thing I don't put this on me, because I want to put this, actually shoot this back to you, is you brought up a great point, because currently right now in comics, we're seeing this era, and I know this is a comic book, movie, and TV show, so we're going to give you the actual source material right now. So one thing that we've been seeing is Jim Lee is a Korean American. I hope he's Korean, because if not, I'm going to feel like an idiot, but I'm pretty sure he's Korean. He created some of the best art that we kind of go on today. We also have we have tons of people. Dwayne McDuffie, huge, right? R.I.P. Dwayne. But there's so many influencers in comics nowadays, and we are moving towards a different trend, which you were just talking about. How does that inform what we're doing right now in entertainment, period?
I think the way that informs that is because what people have been doing, and you know this because you come from movies and Jezzer, you know this as well, is that people have been going to comics for source material because it's kind of tried and true. When we put comics out there and we see the fan base respond to it, things that do well transfer usually well over to movies as well, because when there's people who are like enjoying it, who are supporting it, it transfers. Like Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy has a strong fan base in comics, and so they knew when they transferred this over to movies, they just had to adapt it the right way, and that success would be there. So I think the cool thing about it is, though, is we're seeing this right now with Miles Morales. This diversity in comics is now transferred to that movie that's coming out in December. We're getting Miles Morales, and here's the thing. When I saw that trailer, I was excited for that trailer. I was like, holy crap. Because not only did I get to see this, but I saw myself reflected in there. I saw my culture. Like, friends called me. He's like, yo, dog, Spider-Man's wearing J's. I was like, I know, right? And so the thing about it is that, like, we see our cultures, like, represented and everything like that. So I think that's the cool thing that's happening, is that we're getting, like, these stories now that are representing the actual, like, American experience to everybody.
It's not just Black Lightning and Black whatever, whatever it can be, to inform the community, right? Black Panther, even though it's a huge hit, but it's not that to just inform the community. It's just a character like Spider-Man that can do that.
Exactly. And only that though. Exactly. It's like a character like Kamala Khan, who's a modern version of Spider-Man, who's this teenager trying to figure her stuff out and everything like that, but she comes from this Muslim background and everything like that. She's Pakistani, and so it exposes us like these different things. It was the cool thing about it is, though, is really helping people come together, because as you're watching her story, guess what? Her culture is a part of her identity. So all of a sudden, people are learning about other cultures and whatnot. So I think we're seeing some cool stuff. So I think as this progresses on, because you've kind of spoke to me about this, like Marvel with Riri Williams, things like that, they may be transitioning over and bringing maybe like in more diverse characters, hopefully.
It's time. It's time. Jezzer, before we go, I actually have to ask you a question. Now, I know you're not super deep into the deep cuts comic books. However, as you saw with this movie that we just watched, which was The Death of Superman, Cat Grant's not a white girl that's blonde.
Yeah.
Right? And we've been seeing a lot of diverse changes in comic books. As a kind of casual viewer, how do you kind of feel about that?
About changing.
Does it matter? Does it not matter? Does it make you happier when you see somebody that's more representative of you? Like, chat me up about that.
Especially in movies, they've been doing it a lot lately. I honestly, it doesn't matter. I mean, the character, especially when these characters were created so many years ago, that when you're introducing it to a new audience, like people without the comic book enthusiast telling you, you probably wouldn't even know.
Right. Sure.
Recently when they did Jimmy Olsen for that Supergirl show.
Well, also, there's no reason for Nightwing
exactly.
to be
There's
a white guy.
There's no
Not
reason,
at all.
yeah.
He was a circus kid. I mean, the circus is one of the most diverse groups of people.
It could be any nationality, any race.
Like, I don't see a problem with it, but like a lot of like the super hardcore comic book enthusiasts, they do like saying, "Oh, you're changing the character." You're not really changing the character at all. Like,
no,
it's still the same person, you know.
It's like the thing about it is that sometimes a character's background does influence their character, who they are, like their racial identity and whatnot. But with a lot of these
you can't make Black Panther a white guy.
Exactly,
it doesn't work.
Exactly. But the thing about it is that with some of these characters they're changing, their race doesn't influence their background. And in a way, it actually, by adding race to it, it kind of like adds more diversity to their characters. It's kind of like we talked about Iron Fist.
When I talked about Scott Summers, you mean?
Oh, Scott Summers.
I said Scott Summers should be anything. Like, he could be Asian, he could be white, he could be black. There's nothing that's really identifying Scott Summers to being one race.
But I actually want to give you credit on another thing. It was when you brought that point about
Iron Fist, yeah.
Because people were like, Iron Fist needs to be Asian. It was like, no, he doesn't.
No, he does not.
The story of Iron Fist is a man out of water, a fish out of water story. It's somebody who's going to a different culture. So
which I suggested he should be an African American.
Exactly, and I was
Makes
like,
the most sense.
Exactly, or like Puerto Rican or something like that. There's a variety of different
Yeah,
reasons to go with that.
We were at some place. We were at like that mixer that we went to in Orange County.
Yeah,
and
I took a lot of heat for that.
You were. Like, there is a whole group of people just surrounding you.
They don't know this, but
wait, can I set this up real quick? So we're at this party and everything like that, and we're talking about, there's a big nerdy gathering and everything like that, and Joe saw these group of people and everything like that, and they're talking about the Iron Fist show, and some of the cats in there, they're also Asian American. So they were saying
some
that
of the cats, there was a whole bunch of them.
And so they were saying that Iron Fist should have been Asian. And now Joe, as you know,
I'm half Asian.
Joe's racially ambiguous, but he is half Asian. And so Joe was like, no, he should have been Asian, and here are the reasons why.
And then they all start crowding.
Exactly. And he kind of broke it down, and Joe was right.
Listen, in fairness, man, I think it's a little racist to say, oh, the Iron Fist knows karate, he should be Asian. No. Make him black, make him Hispanic, make him somebody that doesn't know that.
No.
And make, if the Punisher was Asian, sure. I don't care. Like, just make it something different. I feel that, like, people get, like, that, to me, that's a little racist. When it's kind of like, oh, well, this character does karate, he can be Asian. No.
And that's
you know what I mean?
No, for exactly. So here's the thing, for a real life example of that. But the characters are like, oh, he's good at basketball, let's make him black.
Yes.
No, you need to do that. Because one of the best basketball stories of the past decade was freaking Jeremy Lin.
I think I say John Stockton. But
Jeremy
Lin, when he had those, like, 4-game stretch when it was Linsanity, and he was balling on Kobe Bryant and everything like that.
I was with you for a second, but then you said Jeremy Lin.
That was
an amazing 4K.
That was in basketball. That story's going on. If you say Dirk Nowitzki,
I thought you were going to say like get Kevin Nash or something, like one of the best point guards in the league.
Good.
Steve Nash.
But here's the thing.
I was with you, and then you said Jeremy Lin. No.
But here's the reason why, because Jeremy Lin balled up. Jeremy Lin balled up and won a game against like Kobe Bryant, one of the best players of all time.
That was because there's nobody else on the Knicks to fill that role, though.
Exactly, but again,
and then people were like underestimated. That's
exactly.
it.
No. You're exactly right. He was underestimated, and the thing about it is, after that, guess what? Everywhere he went, he was a starter. And so no matter if he kept changing teams, he was a starter, and people respected his game, and Dan Tony's system just really worked well for him. But again, it was like all of a sudden, Caps were like, because again, for a long time, it was just like Yao Ming and a couple of the past. So all of a sudden, it was like, dude, Asian cats can ball, and I was like, hell yeah, they can.
Realistically,
can we have a sports show too?
Yeah, I wish. But realistically,
we asked Josh, he said no.
With comics, I so wish that, like, because there's no reason why you couldn't get prominent, like a Black Panther, sure, but like a Cyclops, there's no reason saying the Cyclops can't be black.
No.
Or Asian, or Hispanic, whatever.
No, and the thing about this is that we need diverse relationships too.
I know Wolverine needs to be from Canada, but guess what? Canada's pretty fucking diverse right now.
Yeah.
there's tons of places where I feel they're like, oh, it'd be so cool if, you know what I
But
mean?
you know when we're going to get that though? Is when we start. That's what we're talking about. Is like we get more diversity in the writers' rooms and in the artist studios and whatnot. Because for a long time, like growing up, I used to hate reading comics because every black character had the same high top fade. Because that's pretty much what all the artists knew how to draw.
I mean, Zach from Power Rangers did too.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was a kid, I wanted that. I told my mom I wanted that haircut. I wanted Zach's hair. She's like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
I did the same thing actually.
But my mom was like, it doesn't work like that.
But it was like Zach, Luke Cage, Blade, all had the exact same haircut, and it gets annoying. You see that in the comics and like on TV and whatnot. But yes, when you have diverse artists making things, like that's what really Milestone was so great. Like Jezzer, I'm not sure if you know about Milestone, but Milestone Comics was this amazing thing put together by this diverse group of creators. And when I say diverse, it wasn't just like black people; it was black, Asian, Latino, women who came together to create this thing called the Milestone universe. That's where Static Shock came from, and that's where we got Bloods in the Kid.
That's
introduced
also
some of the more prominent like LGBT characters like Donner and Vixen.
Yeah, sure,
it was
sure.
so good, and that's the thing they just said we wanted diversity in comics.
But correct me if I'm wrong. That's also the time where we had Rob Liefeld doing
Jim
his
Lee,
Extreme, Jim Lee doing comics.
And it was cool because like Jim Lee, that's the reason why Image Comics is so important because again, as Joe pointed out, like go read the Untold Tales of the Marvel Universe, of Marvel Comics, because they go into this as well. Because they explained it that when those guys left to go start Image, all of a sudden everyone else was like, well, if they can do it, why can't we?
But you should definitely watch that or read or whatever the Dwayne McDuffie story. It's fucking phenomenal. Mainly because, rest in peace, Dwayne McDuffie passed away, but his business partner at the time, I don't think they ever reconciled, and there's a lot of remorse there, but it's such a good story. And I know exactly Icon and Hardware and all these guys, because to me that was like, oh, this is cool, this is a different version of superheroes, right?
And it's like, for me, like, I kid you not, like, I always tell people, like, two things got me into comics. One, when I read the Stan Lee Ditko run of, like, Spider-Man, but I was already into comics, but the thing that, where I saw myself in comics, the point where I was like, man, I kind of want to make comics, was when I read Static Shock. Because I was reading stories about a kid who was like me, who grew up in the inner city, who was black, who was doing those stuff.
Static Shock?
Yeah, it was from Detroit, actually, I think.
Well, no, it's Dakota Universe, but Dwayne is from Detroit. And so the thing about this was that when you read that, all of a sudden I was inspired. I was like, I can make my own books too. And so that's the power of like diversity behind the page, because we get characters who look like us, who speak like us, of all people, and then it inspires those people to create.
Yeah, like Icon from that universe I liked Icon the most.
Oh, Icon was so dope. He's so cocky. He was a shit.
I think the first comic book that I read, it was like back in like the late '90s. It was an Excalibur comic.
Really?
Yeah. It was just like at a local store.
Well, guess what? Right now, Filipino Americans, one of the big X-Men they have is Gold Balls.
Fucking hilarious. It is.
Gold Balls is great.
He's created by Brian Michael Bendis. When they were asking him to create like new mutants for his run and everything like that, and it was Gold Balls. He creates Gold Balls.
It's actually, but the way he does it is pretty fucking great.
And he throws them at people, and it's hilarious.
But this is a thing. I think that with comic books right now, listen, whether or not you're reading superheroes, horror, whatever it may be, comic books have so much diversity, but you have to do a little digging yourself.
You gotta
but
find
there's
it.
so much out there that you should. Like, I was in the back seat of Johnny's car, and he was talking like I always make fun of you for this because you haven't read it yet.
Oh,
it's in the back seat.
Vlad.
But like, there's so many great creators out there that have so much to show you guys. I promise you,
I like this,
that you won't be disappointed.
When the writer's room isn't diverse, you get Gloria from Modern Family.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, that's true. Good job, Layla. And as Joe pointed out, like again, when you have diverse writers' rooms, you get these different perspectives, and you get people who like also focus on different characters. Because like, again, going back to Dwayne McDuffie, like, dude, if you like Justice League Unlimited, you like that because Dwayne McDuffie did that. Dwayne McDuffie was like one of the head writers on that show and put that thing together, and that's the reason why we got those episodes focused on the Question. Those episodes focused on the Huntress. Those episodes focused on Green Arrow and Black Canary and whatnot.
Justice League, but Unlimited was great because there's just a whole cast of like.
But
other
McDuffie was also writing Static Shock.
Yep.
So he's pretty amazing.
And he helped do that episode of Batman Beyond where they went through time. Well,
that was great.
Exactly, which was an awesome thing. Brought back then, brought the universe together. So yeah, like again, so give the dude.
So credit. Johnny, besides yourself, name a comic writer that is your favorite currently.
A comic writer that's my favorite currently. I'm gonna give respect to David Walker. His part.
That's one. Only one.
Only one.
Only one.
Only one. When we respected David Walker, because people haven't read his Power Man Iron Fist run, it was one of the best runs recently. And the cool thing about it is, though, he showed the switching characters. Because if you read the original run of like Power Man Iron Fist, Power Man is this like angry dude going around busting up stuff, and Danny is like all zen and everything like that. Relax, you gotta be chill with things.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
recently, though, you gotta remember other characters have evolved. Luke's a father now. He has to be responsible. He has a wife. He has to think about his kids. And Danny's like this guy who's a third, who's like a little bit more free. So now they switch roles. And so David communicated that so well, and Sanford Green's artwork on that series was so amazing. So again, that's highly recommended. If you want to read something good, read that Power Man Iron Fist run. And David Walker has a new series coming out with Sanford Green that's coming out later on. I think it's going to be announced like later on, but they've got a new series coming out too.
You're not going to be able to say one.
I'm not. Yeah.
I
mean, the only comics that I've been reading consistently lately was the
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Kyle Higgins, you can say that.
Yeah. And I
So
really,
you can say
I really
Kyle
like-
Higgins
I
with
really
Power.
like-
Yeah, that's fair.
I
That's a
really
fair
like
answer.
the respect that he gives to the mythos, to the lore of Power
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah.
I would have to say Tom King, and the reason I'm gonna say Tom King, he wasn't gonna be my choice until right now, the second. Motherfucking Vision, and then I've been reading Mr. Miracle. It's brilliant.
Wait, Tom, was he the one?
Yeah, he was in our room and I was talking to him about
Was
it.
he the one that it wasn't with you? It was with
Kyle.
where he broke down, where he like cried. Is that guy?
Did he cry? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
because I think he won an Eisner.
Yes.
Oh yeah, dude.
Tom King.
Like listening to him, I was like, God, this guy really loves comics.
Tom King. I read his run on
Batman?
No. I never read his Batman run, actually.
That's when he won the Eisner for the dog story.
I read his run on Vision. I have the two little trades. But then I read Mr. Miracle, and I mean, obviously we're still having new issues now. Brilliant. Tom King gets it. He is my kind of writer.
See, that was one thing that I did enjoy at Comic-Con is listening, because we had
CBR,
we had a lot of like comic book writers in the room, and just listening to them talk about like the source material and how much love.
When Jezzer comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, you're gonna have to interview Jim Lee and Dan DiDio," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" It was, remember, because they were showed up late.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Luckily, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But Scott Snyder was in our room as well.
Yep. Scott's. Oh yes. There's actually a lot of.
You guys pretty much interviewed a lot of comic book people, huh?
Well, not
We interviewed a lot of people, period. But we were there. We were there. Yeah.
I mean,
wait, it's weird too. A lot of DC people.
Only DC people.
There is a lot of DC.
There's a reason that Jezzer walked. Have you not seen Jezzer in his DC Comics robe?
They're the ones that give me the robe.
Why don't you wear that for every stream we do?
Dude, it was.
It's linty. He needs to wash it.
No, that, and also when I wore it last week, it was like the reflection of the light was just like going off on them. So
you should wear it when you walk in and like put it on your chair, like you like that's your entrance. Yeah, like an entrance.
Oh, or he could do it like Mr. Rogers, like that's how he starts the show. It's like he comes in, how's it going, everybody?
We walked
Jezzer's
out of that
here.
room. Jezzer stole a robe and put on glasses.
Stole is a very like aggressive word to use.
Well,
it was there.
You were given the robe.
Wait.
At this point,
Jezzer, I got you. You discovered the robe.
I discovered the robe.
Discovered the robe.
He took it. He put on some glasses.
That's what Columbus did.
Yeah, I got some glasses.
We
from
walked out of the
Bumblebee.
room together, and he fucking looked like a superstar. So we just let him have it.
What was Robin Brack saying when we were going down? They were just like,
They're like, "What the fuck is he doing?"
I was just going down the escalator, and they left already.
Yeah.
And I was just walking around looking for my friend.
The Comic-Con was a long weekend.
Yeah.
It was.
They left already, and then I was just walking around. People are just like, What's going on? Who is this guy?
So Johnny, if I ever have to interview you for an Eisner's, you know we're not talking about comics, right?
Wait, what now?
Just saying.
Wait, if you ever interview.
Let's
for
say
Eisner's?
you get a nomination for an Eisner. We're not doing an Eisner fucking interview. You know that, right?
Wait, really?
Yeah, I'm not gonna interview for an Eisner. Yeah, we're interviewing something else.
I'm telling you right now, if I ever get nominated for an Eisner, I'm going to my agent like, look, I don't care who I interview, but I better interview with Joe first. You schedule that first. I want to interview with Joe first.
You know what?
Jezzer be ready on camera.
How do we get you nominated for an Eisner?
Yeah, how do we do that?
Let's just.
But first, we gotta get you on the Boom Studios grind, right?
Well, let's just put it this way. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but part of the reason why Comic-Con was good for me is I got a chance to talk to some editors and making some things happen. I'm not gonna talk about anything on screen. I'll tell you guys when the cameras go off and everything. But let's just say I'm working towards it.
I love that. That's diversity. Johnny deserves it. We've talked a lot about comics tonight, guys. We hoped you guys really enjoyed this Infinity Watchtower tonight. And this is what you can expect every week. We're going to be talking about not just comic book movies, but the actual comics that inspire it So guys,
and I
thank
love
you.
it, especially since I have.
He
No
doesn't know.
background. And I just love listening to like how much like care you guys when you guys talk about it, and I can just see it in your eyes. Like the love for comics is just it's real.
It's a beautiful medium.
It's so.
I mean, it really is. It's made me cry so many times.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button to stay up to date with everything trending
in geek pop culture.
And we will see you next week, talking comics again.
Deuces.
Hashtag everyone support Johnny.